Chapter 51, Blood Luo World. More importantly, Marquis Tianyi knew that the one suppressing the Blood Luo world was the Sky Eclipse Palace Master. Although the Sky Eclipse Palace Master was stationed in one place and couldn't constantly pay attention, this potential deterrent made Marquis Tianyi feel that Qingyu had an invisible layer of protection there. Blood Luo World. Qingyu's heart stirred. As a transmigrator, he naturally knew about a precious treasure from the Blood Luo world, the Blood River Crystal. The Blood Luo world it is. Good. Qingyu didn't hesitate, his gaze instantly locking onto mission number 36 on the screen. He lightly clicked the Blood Luo world mission, choosing to accept it. The moment he clicked to select the mission, beep. A dazzling red warning box suddenly popped up on the screen, accompanied by an urgent alarm sound. Warning. Warning. Your Highness Qingyu, it has been detected that this is your first time accepting a cultivation mission. According to our Virtual Universe Corporation's historical statistical data, members who choose a dangerous level mission for their first task have a death rate as high as 78%. Please consider your choice carefully. If you confirm you wish to proceed, please click the Confirm button below. Qingyu's gaze didn't waver in the slightest, his finger unhesitatingly landing on the Confirm button. The warning box instantly vanished, and the detailed mission information for the Blood Luo world appeared before him. Blood Luo World Cultivation Mission. 1. Obtain 1 Blood River Crystal, a specialty of the Blood Luo world. Success grants 10,000 points. 2. Obtain the Blood Warrior title and receive a Blood Luo badge. Success grants 100,000 points. Note, only one of these 2 tasks needs to be completed for this cultivation mission to be considered successful. Confirm. Qingyu's voice was calm. Mission accepted. Please fill in your departure time. The Virtual Universe Corporation will arrange for a cosmic spaceship to transport you to the Blood Luo world. Qingyu quickly filled in the departure time for 3 days later, then immediately began preparing for his trip to the Blood Luo world. An extremely xenophobic indigenous world that viewed outsiders as evil demons from beyond the heavens. They rejected all technological creations, so Qingyu couldn't use technological weapons. The Tribulation Divine weapon was also out. If exposed, the powerhouses of the Blood Luo world would likely hunt him down. Qingyu's main focus next was to learn the language and culture of the Blood Luo world. With his current mental strength, 2 days were enough to master a language. 1 day later, in front of Manor 114 on Wuchen continent, Qingyu stood quietly, his silver-white battle suit fluttering in the wind. Everything is ready, Qingyu murmured to himself, his eyes calm and unwavering. A sleek, black, shuttle-shaped cosmic spaceship pierced through the defensive barrier of Wuchen's spacetime, accurately landing in front of the manor. Its hatch slid open silently. The Blood Luo world is no small matter, Marquis Tianyi's voice was unusually grave. Remember, survival first. Mission points are important, but your life is more precious than any points. Come back alive. This disciple understands. Qingyu solemnly replied, a determined glint in his eyes. Immediately, he no longer hesitated, transforming into a gray stream of light and entering the open hatch of the black spaceship. Farewell, Your Highness. A loud and uniform sound rang out in front of the manor as a group of guards bowed in unison. The black spaceship's hatch quickly closed, its engine emitting a low hum, and it transformed into a streak of light, piercing through the spacetime barrier of Wuchen. A woman wearing a Virtual Universe Corporation uniform, with a pair of pure white wings on her back and a beautiful face, was waiting inside the cabin. Your Highness, welcome aboard. The winged woman's voice was gentle, accompanied by a professional smile. I am Alia. We are now heading to the Blood Luo world. The spaceship has entered dark universe navigation and is maintaining a stable speed of 50 times the speed of light. We are expected to arrive near our destination in 3 months. During your time on the spaceship, Your Highness can cultivate with peace of mind. If you need anything, you can call me at any time. I will notify you in advance before we reach our destination. After Alia finished speaking, she quietly retreated to a separate area. Qingyu nodded slightly. Good. Thank you, Alia. 3 months. He slowly closed his eyes, separating a wisp of consciousness to connect to the virtual universe. He began to deduce the subsequent variations of the third-level secret technique of myriad tribulations, and the third volume of chaotic true understanding. After leaving Primordial Chaos City, his progress slowed down significantly. Qingyu had already found and learned all 2,162 secret techniques from the first 2 volumes of Chaotic True Understanding, within a month. However, for the third volume, Qingyu had only found 17 secret techniques so far. For the third level of Myriad Tribulations, Qingyu had only comprehended the first 6 secret techniques, and this was due to his long-term enlightenment in the origin of the universe, coupled with the continuous consumption of star marrow jade. Too slow. Qingyu frowned. If he continued to cultivate in seclusion, this speed would continue to decrease until it eventually stagnated. Soon, 3 months passed. Your Highness, we are about to perform a cosmic jump and return to the original universe, Alia reminded. At the same time, the spaceship began its jump countdown, the entire vessel vibrating slightly, finally reaching its destination. 100% exterior simulation. The spaceship's outer shell instantly transformed, projecting the external void scene. Qingyu immediately noticed an incredibly tall palace floating in the extremely distant void. This palace is called Sky Eclipse Palace. It belongs to a super powerhouse. Alia introduced to Qingyu. Sky Eclipse Palace. My teacher, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master, is inside. Qingyu's eyes lit up slightly. Out of politeness and respect, as a disciple, Qingyu should pay his respects to his teacher as soon as he arrived here. Alia, let's go to Sky Eclipse Palace. I want to pay my respects to the Sky Eclipse Palace Master. Ah, Alia was visibly stunned. Your Highness, you want to pay your respects to the Sky Eclipse Palace Master. Such an existence is not easily met. Usually, only major figures among undying spiritual gods are qualified. As an ordinary staff member, she clearly didn't know about Qingyu's relationship with the Sky Eclipse Palace Master. Just fly over, Qingyu said calmly, without explaining further. Alia looked at Qingyu's calm yet firm gaze and could only brace herself to pilot the spaceship towards Sky Eclipse Palace. The spaceship slowly approached Sky Eclipse Palace, flying towards the docking port on the first level of the palace. As soon as the spaceship docked, the hatch opened. Qingyu stepped out and saw a burly man, over 3 meters tall, wearing silver battle armor and exuding the powerful aura of an undying spiritual god, already waiting at the edge of the platform. Your Highness Qingyu. The silver-armored strongman saw Qingyu, immediately stepped forward, and respectfully bowed. I am Arno, dispatched by the Palace Master to welcome your Highness. Please follow me, the Palace Master is waiting for you on the 9th level. Thank you, Mr. Arno. Qingyu nodded slightly. Alia happened to witness this scene and her eyes instantly widened. Just what is the background of this Your Highness Qingyu, for an existence like the Sky Eclipse Palace Master to arrange an undying spiritual god specifically to welcome him? Chapter 52 Landing. Your Highness, the 9th floor has been reached. The Palace Master is inside, this subordinate bids farewell. Anyo bowed again, then respectfully retreated. Qingyu took a deep breath and stepped onto the 9th floor. The 9th floor was not divided into any rooms, it was a single, immense hall, grand beyond imagination. Vast, boundless, endless. It was as if an entire star field was encompassed within it. Even a planetary level would appear tiny when placed here. At the center of this space, a figure sat quietly. He wore a simple silver robe, his reddish-brown hair cascaded freely, his skin was as lustrous as jade, and his deep, abyss-like dark eyes seemed to hold the birth and death of the universe. A vertical silver mark on his brow added a touch of mystery and majesty. He merely sat there, yet he seemed to be the sole center of this vast space, the embodiment of the entire universe's laws. Qingyu stood before him, as tiny as a speck of dust gazing up at the stars, feeling an absolute suppression stemming from the hierarchy of life and the height of the laws. Disciple Qingyu greets Master. Qingyu suppressed the shock in his heart, took a few steps forward, and stopped far from the Sky Eclipse Palace Master, respectfully performing a disciple's grand bow. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's elegant and gentle voice rang out, like a breeze rustling through a bamboo forest, yet containing an undeniable authority. Rise. Blood Luo World is the first training mission you have chosen, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master's voice remained calm. Blood Luo World holds both opportunities and dangers you have never experienced. Remember. His voice suddenly took on a warning tone. No matter what grave dangers you encounter inside, even if your life hangs by a thread, or you perish, I will not intervene. Qingyu's heart tightened, but his gaze remained firm. Your path of cultivation is long, you must forge it yourself. The Sky Eclipse Palace. Master's voice returned to its elegance, yet each word was like a hammer, striking Qingyu's heart. If even a dangerous mission requires your master to escort you, then your future path will not extend far. Disciple understands. Qingyu's voice was resolute, without the slightest waver or resentment. Disciple will do his utmost and not fail master's expectations. Very good. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master nodded slightly. Go. Let your master see what brilliance you can unleash through the crucible of life and death. Yes. Disciple bids farewell. Qingyu bowed respectfully again, then slowly departed. Anya was still waiting outside the 9th floor, respectfully escorting Qingyu back to the spaceship docking port. When Qingyu returned to the black spaceship, the guide, Alia, looked at him with reverence. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master personally received him. If this news were to spread, it would be enough to shake the entire core of the Virtual Universe Corporation. Your Highness, shall we depart for Blood Luo World immediately? Alia's voice was respectful. Depart. After the black spaceship left Sky Eclipse Palace, it did not directly transport Qingyu to Blood Luo World, but rather stopped in a void not far away. Your Highness, according to the mission regulations and the unique nature of Blood Luo World, I can only take you this far, Alia said respectfully, pointing into the distance. The remaining distance will require Your Highness to pilot your own spaceship. The mission brief should have mentioned it. Your Highness should have brought a spaceship, correct? I know, thank you, Alia. Qingyu nodded, saying no more. The hatch opened, and Qingyu stepped out, his figure already standing in the cold void. With a wave of his hand, a streamlined, shuttle-shaped spaceship, gleaming with a deep dark silver luster, appeared out of thin air. This was an F-grade spaceship provided free of charge by the Virtual Universe Corporation to Primitive Mystical Region members, with performance far exceeding the E-grade spaceship he had brought from the Azure Scale Clan back then. Qingyu entered the spaceship and sat in the main control seat. Spaceship disguise simulation function, target simulation, ordinary meteorite. Qingyu calmly commanded. Instantly, the advanced F-grade spaceship's exterior began to twist and blur, its surface rapidly covered with pockmarked, dusty rock textures. The disguised meteorite, under Qingyu's control, began to accelerate towards the thick cloud layers on the outermost edge of Blood Luo continent. 3 hours later, the spaceship, disguised as a meteorite, crashed violently into the outermost cloud layer of Blood Luo World, like a true visitor from outer space. Inside the spaceship, Qingyu felt intense vibrations and saw the view outside the viewport completely filled with white airflow. He knew he couldn't go any deeper. Blood Luo World's 18 layers of cloud were not lifeless, indigenous powerhouses might be active within them, and continuing to pilot the spaceship deeper carried a high risk of being discovered. This is far enough, Qingyu decisively commanded. Qingyu opened the hatch and stepped out, exposing himself to the environment of Blood Luo World. Instantly, a powerful gravitational force acted upon him. Such strong gravity. The gravity was so strong that ordinary planetary-level cultivators would likely be unable to fly here, only astral-rank cultivators could fly normally. Qingyu's body sank slightly, he collected the spaceship into his world ring, and his body immediately accelerated downwards like a cannonball. The speed grew faster and faster, with a piercing wind whistling in his ears. When Qingyu broke through the last and thickest cloud layer, his view suddenly cleared. Below, a vast, indescribably primitive continent appeared before his eyes. Towering, continuous mountain ranges lay like coiled dragons, and primeval forests covered the land, forming endless, dark green oceans. In the distant horizon, the outlines of some enormous cities were faintly visible. Qingyu immediately controlled to counteract most of the gravity, maintaining a relatively stable speed, like a bird gliding. He sensed his surroundings. Primal energy is very abundant. People who live here long-term would probably naturally reach planetary level upon adulthood. However, it's still not as pure as the Wuchen continent in the primitive mystical region. I'm here to obtain blood river crystals, so I should keep a low profile. Silver stream, hide my life aura to astral rank. Qingyu then chose a direction, towards the outline of the closest city. His body transformed into a streak of light, flying close to the vast forest canopy beneath the clouds, towards the city. Soon, he chose to land at the edge of a dense primeval forest, still a considerable distance from the city. The moment his feet touched the ground at the forest's edge, with a muffled thump, half of Qingyu's legs instantly sank in. The ground was covered with countless millennia of accumulated fallen branches and leaves, which had decomposed into a thick layer of soft, damp, and putrid humus. Tisk, a completely primitive environment. Qingyu frowned slightly. He didn't want to trudge through mud. With a thought, his body floated up again, about half a meter off the ground, moving forward by flying low, skimming the surface of the thick humus layer. The wilderness of Blood Luo world seems to have many desolate. Qingyu flew along, cautiously observing his surroundings. Chapter 53 Bloodhoof Territory. Just as the words, desolate beast, were about to escape his lips, a faint yet chillingly foul killing intent erupted from beneath the rotten leaf litter to his right, behind him. A terrifying giant shadow, as thick as a water bucket and over 100 meters long, shot towards Qingyu's back with a air-ripping shriek. Its grotesque snake head gaped open, revealing venomous fangs that gleamed with cold light, and its vertical pupils were filled with cruelty and bloodlust. It was a gigantic, desolate beast, venomous python, lurking beneath the humus layer. An ordinary universe-rank cultivator would likely be swallowed whole before even reacting. However, who was Qingyu? He didn't even fully turn. His body merely shifted half a step to the left with extreme subtlety, while his right hand, like a phantom, swung violently. Buzz. A blade light, clear as moonlight yet imbued with an absolute resolve to cut through everything, suddenly flared without any embellishment. PFF'd. That terrifying 100-meter-long giant python, its grotesque snake head, was smoothly and completely severed from its massive body along a subtle yet fatal bloodline. The cut was as smooth as a mirror. Only then did Qingyu slowly utter the words that had been interrupted. ... Desolate beast. Qingyu didn't even glance at the rolling snake body or the splattering snake blood behind him. With a flick of his wrist, the last trace of blood on the battle blade, transformed from silver stream, was shaken off. He deftly sheathed the battle blade back at his waist, his movements fluid and seamless. It seems I need to speed up, Qingyu murmured. The smell of blood would attract a lot of unnecessary trouble. His figure flickered, turning into a blurry afterimage, and he swept low over the thick humus layer, flying at an even faster speed towards the distant city. The trees gradually thinned, and bright daylight streamed through, the forest edge now within reach. Just then, roar, howl, shoot arrows. A cacophony of shouts, desolate beast roars, and the sound of weapons piercing the air suddenly erupted from the open ground ahead, breaking the forest silence. Qingyu frowned slightly, but his speed barely decreased as he directly swept out from behind the giant tree barrier at the forest's edge. The view suddenly opened up to a large, deliberately cleared open space, with fresh bloodstains and some low-level desolate beast corpses still on the ground. In the center of the clearing, a hunt was underway. A group of formidable warriors, dressed in uniform leather armor, were driving several fierce, dog-like desolate beasts to besiege a massive, rhinoceros-like desolate beast covered in rock-like scales. At the edge of the clearing, a young man in a lavish brocade robe, with an arrogant expression, surrounded by several obviously stronger guards, rode on the back of an exotic beast, watching the hunt with keen interest. He held a beautifully crafted longbow in his hand, occasionally shooting an arrow to toy with the trapped desolate beast. Qingyu's appearance instantly drew everyone's gaze. The brocade-robed young man, riding on the unicorn's back, was the first to fix his eyes on him. He sized up Qingyu, a simple gray tight-fitting outfit, travel-worn, and radiating a life aura that was merely astral rank. The brocade-robed young man's eyes instantly flashed with undisguised contempt and a cruel excitement, as if he had found a new toy. He bared his teeth in a savage grin, and with condescending arrogance, he shouted loudly. "Hey, you bumpkin over there, who gave you the guts to trespass on this young master's exclusive hunting ground?" He casually pointed his longbow at Qingyu, as if pointing at a lamb to be slaughtered. "You've disturbed this young master's hunting mood, and 10 of your lowly lives won't be enough to compensate." "Perfect, this young master hasn't had enough fun today. Kid, obediently be a new prey and let this young master shoot a few arrows for fun. If you can dodge them, this young master might consider sparing your lowly life." Before he even finished speaking, without giving Qingyu any chance to explain or react, a fierce glint flashed in his eyes, and his finger on the bowstring was already released. Buzz! An arrow, gleaming with an eerie blue cold light and clearly poisoned, tore through the air with a piercing shriek, aiming straight for Qingyu's throat. It was vicious, malicious, and treated human life as dirt. In Qingyu's eyes, the arrow's speed was as slow as a crawling snail. "I was just looking for information, and haven't you just delivered yourself to my doorstep?" Qingyu sneered inwardly. Qingyu's figure rippled slightly, and he casually tilted his head. Whoosh! The poisoned arrow grazed the hair by his ear and struck the trunk of a giant tree behind him, a tree that 10 people couldn't encircle, which then exploded with a roar. "What?" The savage grin on the brocade-robed young man's face instantly froze. He hadn't expected this seemingly ordinary astral-rank cultivator to so easily dodge his surefire arrow. This filled him with an offended rage. "Useless. You bunch of useless fools, what are you standing around for?" The brocade-robed young man roared at his subordinates, enraged and humiliated. "Go, capture him. This young master will personally flay him alive." "Yes, young master." The 10 guards surrounding the brocade-robed young man replied in unison. These 10 individuals all exuded Cloudsoar Realm auras. Although most were only Cloudsoar Realm 1st or 2nd stage, within this Lord-ruled territory, they were absolutely elite forces. Facing this aggressive encirclement, Qingyu's gaze remained calm and unruffled, with only a hint of cold disdain. Noisy. Qingyu moved. His movements were so fast that he left an afterimage in his original spot, and he himself instantly appeared before the brocade-robed young man. No one saw how he bypassed the interception of the 10 Cloudsoar Realm guards. The savagery and anger on the brocade-robed young man's face instantly turned into boundless terror. He didn't even have time to react. Qingyu's right hand, as if piercing through tofu, easily penetrated the brocade-robed young man's hastily condensed, paper-thin protective original force, accurately striking his dantian. "Aha!" The brocade-robed young man let out a horrifying, distorted scream. His dantian had been crippled by Qingyu. It wasn't until the brocade-robed young man collapsed, screaming in agony, that the 10 Cloudsoar Realm guards, who had charged towards Qingyu's original position, realized something was wrong and turned back in horror. "Young master! Young lord!" Roars of shock and fury erupted. The eyes of the 10 Cloudsoar Realm guards instantly turned red. Their young master, the most beloved youngest son of the Lord of Bloodhoof territory, whom they were ordered to protect, had actually been crippled right under their noses. "Bastard! You're courting death. Do you know who he is? He's the most beloved young lord of the Bloodhoof territory's city lord. How dare you cripple him? Kill him. Tear him to pieces. Otherwise, we'll all die." The 10 Cloudsoar Realm guards went completely mad. With the young lord crippled, they would absolutely not escape the lord's furious punishment when they returned, and might even suffer a fate worse than death. "Since that's the case, then I'll help you, so you don't have to worry," Qingyu said coldly. Chapter 54 Blood Luo. Qingyu gripped a long spear, an extension of Silverstream's body, and thrust it like a dragon, pointing, piercing, sweeping, and collapsing. Puff, 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 puff. With every movement, he precisely penetrated the vital points of an enemy, throat, heart, or forehead. His speed was astonishing, and his angles were so cunning that they far exceeded the reaction limits of these Cloudsoar Realm universe-rank guards. Those seemingly fierce attacks were full of flaws before Qingyu. Qingyu's figure weaved through the crowd like a stroll in a courtyard. Every flash of his silver spear meant one less life. Wherever the spear tip passed, it left behind sprays of vibrant blood flowers. Only half a breath had passed. The 10 Cloudsoar realm guards who had charged frantically froze in place. Their faces still bore expressions of shock, anger, and disbelief, while small blood holes in their foreheads, throats, or chests gushed fresh blood. Bang, bang, bang. The 10 bodies fell heavily to the ground, covered in dead leaves and blood, almost simultaneously. The astral rank martial artists who had followed the charge were instantly frozen in place as if under a paralysis spell, their initial frenzy and ferocity replaced by boundless terror. Mercy, someone was the first to drop his weapon and fall to his knees with a thud. Qingyu killed those Cloudsoar realm guards as easily as slicing melons, immediately dispelling any thought among the astral rank group of standing up for their master. All they wanted now was to save their lives. Like a chain reaction, the remaining dozens of astral rank martial artists threw down their weapons and armor, kneeling en masse, trembling like sieves, and kowtowing frantically. Qingyu didn't even glance at the kneeling astral rank nobodies. He walked directly to the brocade-robed youth cowering on the ground, looking down at him with an indifferent gaze, as if observing an ant. "Now, we can have a proper talk." Qingyu's voice was calm and unruffled. Although the brocade-robed youth's dantian was crippled and his 10 Cloudsoar realm guards had been cleanly cut down by Qingyu, his long-ingrained arrogance and tyranny were etched into his bones. His face contorted with malice and madness, and he shrieked with all his might. Talk about your mother. You commoner. Do you know who I am? I am the son of the Bloodhoof Territory Lord. My father is a Territory Lord rank powerhouse. How dare you cripple me? You're dead. My father will grind your bones to dust. His voice was shrill and piercing, filled with hysterical hatred. Qingyu's eyes grew slightly cold, without even a ripple of emotion. It was a waste of time to talk nonsense with such a crippled fool who didn't know his place. Noisy, Qingyu murmured. Buzz. An invisible yet vast and boundless mental power instantly descended upon the Bloodhoof Territory young lord's sea of consciousness, abruptly cutting off the brocade-robed youth's venomous shriek. Although Qingyu hadn't cultivated soul enslavement secret techniques, with his mastery of illusion, hypnotizing an astral rank was as easy as pie. Do you know about Blood River Crystal? Qingyu cut directly to the chase, his voice like a command imbued with magic, directly imprinted into the depths of the hypnotized youth's consciousness. The brocade-robed youth's eyes were dull, his lips mechanically opening and closing, emitting a dreamlike voice. Blood River Crystal is a treasure bestowed upon us by the gods. It contains supreme power. Integrating it into the body can make one reborn, possessing incredible divine abilities. Who in your Bloodhoof territory possesses Blood River crystals? Qingyu pressed. My father, the Bloodhoof territory lord, he has one, and the patriarch of the Blackstone family, Tai Yan, is said to also have one, and I also have one, the brocade-robed youth answered woodenly. Upon hearing, I also have one, a fleeting, almost imperceptible hint of surprise flashed in Qingyu's eyes. He had searched high and low, only to find it unexpectedly. He hadn't thought this arrogant, tyrannical astral rank playboy would actually carry a Blood River crystal on him. It seemed his territory lord father truly doted on him. Give it to me, Qingyu commanded. The hypnotized brocade-robed youth, like a puppet on strings, laboriously raised his trembling hand and fumbled inside a very secret compartment on the inner side of his luxurious belt. His fingers trembled as he pressed the mechanism, a soft click sounded, and the compartment sprang open. He carefully took out an item and handed it to Qingyu. Qingyu reached out and took it. The crystal felt warm to the touch, yet with a strange coolness. It was a triangular prism-shaped crystal, about 3 fingers long, exhibiting a pure, deep, and seemingly living, flowing blood-red color throughout. The crystal's interior was subtly transparent, as if one could see blood-red light slowly swirling and surging within its depths. Blood River Crystal. Qingyu looked at the crystal in his hand, his eyes gleaming. This was the wondrous item that could raise one's genetic level and enhance one's affinity for laws. Just then, among the astral rank martial artists who had been kneeling on the ground, scared out of their wits, a few bolder ones saw that Qingyu's attention seemed entirely captivated by the crystal, and witnessing their young lord being manipulated like a puppet, their fear was overcome by the instinct for survival. They exchanged glances, a hint of ruthlessness flashing in their eyes, then suddenly sprang up from the ground like startled rabbits, frantically fleeing in different directions. They wished their parents had given them 2 more legs. The remaining ones, seeing others flee, also rose and scattered to escape. Qingyu didn't even lift his head, merely glancing sideways, his cold gaze sweeping over the figures frantically fleeing. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Several streaks of light instantly shot out from him. Their speed was like lightning, tearing through the air with an ear-piercing shriek. These were the mental power weapons he had used before, the flying blades detached from the arc-light disc. Puff, 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 puff. The dull sound of the mental power flying blades piercing flesh rang out almost simultaneously. Dozens of astral rank martial artists, who had only run a few steps, suddenly stiffened, their eyes erupting with extreme terror and disbelief, before the light in them rapidly dimmed. Bang, bang, bang. Dozens of bodies, still in their running postures, fell heavily to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. Qingyu seemed to have merely swatted a few flies, his gaze returned to the blood river crystal in his hand, feeling its strange pulsation, then with a thought, he put the blood river crystal away. Does your Bloodhoof territory have any World Lord powerhouses? How many domain-level territory Lord rank 1s? Qingyu asked the Bloodhoof territory young lord again. No, World Lord powerhouses, only the World City has them, domain level, 2. Very good. The Bloodhoof territory young lord collapsed to the ground. Then, Qingyu extended his hand, and everyone's storage devices automatically flew over, hovering before Qingyu. He inspected them one by one, finding only some very rudimentary secret techniques and some blade coins unique to the Blood Luo world. Next, I'll go to the Bloodhoof territory first, then find a place to try and merge with the Blood River crystal. Qingyu continued flying towards the Bloodhoof territory, stepping on his mental power weapons. Chapter 55 Fusion. The city of Bloodhoof territory was even grander than Qingyu had seen from a distance. Massive, dark red stone blocks formed towering city walls, over 100 meters high, covered with the marks of time and battles. Even the guards at the city gate were at least planetary level 5 or 6, scrutinizing the people entering and exiting. Qingyu reigned in his aura, and under the perfect concealment of the silver stream, he transformed into the most ordinary, dust-covered astral rank martial artist, easily blending into the crowd. Along the wide streets were various stone or wooden buildings, with shops selling all sorts of desolate beast materials, weapons, and medicinal herbs, lined up one after another. Qingyu was not in a hurry to act. He roamed the city for 2 days, seemingly aimlessly, like a true passerby. Every night, he would secretly gather intelligence, with the city lord's mansion and the Blackstone family being his primary targets. The silver stream's concealment of life aura was flawless. As long as he didn't want to be exposed, even a world lord wouldn't easily discover him, which allowed Qingyu to move freely throughout the Bloodhoof territory. 2 days were enough for Qingyu to collect crucial information. The Bloodhoof city lord, territory lord rank, should be around the 8th or 9th stage, with a tyrannical disposition, constantly residing deep within the city lord's mansion. The Blackstone family's old ancestor, Iron Rock, is also a high-stage territory lord rank, the strongest existence in the Bloodhoof territory apart from the lord, controlling nearly half of the city's ore and weapon business, and is equally overbearing and ruthless. The information was compiled and analyzed in Qingyu's mind. 2 high-stage territory lord ranks. I'll gladly accept your Blood River crystals. On the 3rd day, late at night, Bloodhoof territory fell silent, with only the heavy footsteps of patrolling guards occasionally breaking. The tranquility. A ghost-like shadow silently avoided the overt and covert sentries on the outskirts of the lord's mansion. Qingyu, like a drop of water merging into the night, easily penetrated the layers of defense of the Bloodhoof city lord's mansion, arriving outside a cultivation quiet room in the deepest part of the residence. Inside the quiet room, the lights were bright. A burly middle-aged man, draped in a dark red beast-hide cloak, with a rough and fierce face, was sitting cross-legged on a huge chair made from unknown beast bones. His upper body was bare, revealing strong, scarred muscles, his brows were tightly furrowed, his face ferocious, and veins pulsed on his forehead, as if he was enduring immense pain. In the palm of his right hand, he held a crystal emitting a faint blood-red glow. It was a blood river crystal. Damn it! This second blood river crystal, why is it so difficult to fuse? Failed again. The Bloodhoof Lord growled, his voice filled with unwillingness. Just then, the heavy stone door of the quiet room opened a crack as if pushed by an invisible giant hand. A gray shadow flashed in like a phantom. Who's there? The Bloodhoof Lord, after all, was a high-stage territory lord rank expert. He suddenly opened his bloodshot eyes, which shot out terrifyingly fierce light. Cloud-caressing vine. Several blood-red streams of light from Qingyu's wrist burst forth like mad pythons emerging from their den, instantly. Puff, 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 puff. The attack of a world lord rank cloud-caressing vine was something a territory lord couldn't react to, let alone Qingyu attacking with several main vines at once. The ferocity and horror on the Bloodhoof Lord's face instantly froze. He couldn't even let out a scream. His body was pinned in place by several blood-colored vines, and the blood river crystal in his hand slipped. Qingyu's figure flashed, catching the blood river crystal before it hit the ground, and at the same time, with a thought, swish, the blood-colored vines that had pierced the Bloodhoof Lord instantly retracted, and along with the burly corpse, which had instantly lost all signs of life and was covered in blood holes, and the blood splattered on the ground, all were collected by Qingyu into his world ring. The entire quiet room instantly became empty, with only the faint scent of blood and energy fluctuations remaining in the air, proving everything that had just happened. Clean, swift, one-hit kill, no trace left. Qingyu did not linger, his figure once again merged into the darkness, as if he had never appeared. Next target, the Blackstone family's residence. In the core area of the Blackstone family's residence, within a luxuriously decorated sleeping chamber filled with warm fragrances and sensuous music. Iron Rock, a man as sturdy as an iron tower, with dark, shiny skin, was lying naked and comfortably on a huge beast-skin-soft couch. Two beautiful maids, clad only in thin gauze, were carefully massaging his shoulders and thighs. Iron Rock closed his eyes, enjoying the maids' service, his hands also roaming over their bodies, a satisfied smile on his lips. He had just completed a major transaction and was in a good mood. The window of the sleeping chamber opened a crack silently, and an almost imperceptible gray shadow drifted in. As a high-stage territory lord rank expert, Iron Rock's senses were extremely keen. He suddenly opened his eyes, which shot out sharp light, and roared, "Who?" Before his words finished, a fierce aura that made his soul tremble instantly descended. Cloud-caressing vine. The same scene replayed itself. Dozens of terrifying blood-red vines appeared as if teleporting, instantly piercing Iron Rock's strong body. His rock-like body was as fragile as tofu before the cloud-caressing vine. Along with the two maids beside him, who were terrified and didn't even have time to scream, they were all pierced and strangled. Qingyu's figure appeared as the vines retracted. He expressionlessly instantly collected Iron Rock's corpse and the two maids' corpses into his world ring. Qingyu disappeared again, as if he had never appeared. A moment later, Qingyu's figure had already left the Bloodhoof territory like a phantom, returning to the depths of the vast, primitive, dark forest on the outskirts. He found a hidden cave and began to count his spoils. The storage rings on the Bloodhoof City Lord and Iron Rock were both low-grade, and since they were already dead, Qingyu easily erased their spiritual imprints. Before Qingyu, 4 blood-red, triangular prism-shaped crystals floated silently. They emitted a faint but captivating blood-red glow, as if life flowed within them, with waves of strange pulsations, like 4 beating hearts. The Bloodhoof City Lord actually had 2, Iron Rock had 1, plus the one from the previous young master of Bloodhoof, a total of 4 blood river crystals, a good harvest. Qingyu's eyes finally showed a hint of satisfaction. Fusing blood river crystals tests one's will and physical strength. I should be fine. Let's try fusing one first. Qingyu was a bit impatient. He extended his left hand, his fair and steady palm open, and brought his right index and middle fingers together like a knife, lightly drawing across the center of his palm. Chi. A 1-inch long wound instantly appeared, and crimson blood immediately gushed from it. His gaze fixed on one of the blood river crystals, then he unhesitatingly picked up the triangular prism-shaped blood-red crystal and gently pressed it onto the wound in the palm of his left hand. This was the method for fusing blood river crystals, known to everyone on the entire blood river continent. Simple, yet very difficult. Chapter 56, improved twice. When the warm blood touched the cold surface of the blood river crystal. Buzz. An indescribable, extremely violent, invisible energy suddenly erupted from the blood river crystal. Like a peerless fierce beast that had been imprisoned for billions of years, carrying monstrous ferocity, tyranny, and a mad will to destroy everything, it fiercely rushed into Qingyu's body through the wound's blood. HMPH. Willpower impact. Even with Qingyu's mental fortitude, his face changed. His calm face was replaced by extreme pain and ferocity. It was as if billions of red-hot steel needles instantly pierced every cell of his body, and a crazy destructive force raged within him. Kill, 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 destroy everything. Endless shouts of killing, roars, and screams filled with brutality, bloodlust, and destructive desires, like billions of mad beasts galloping and trampling in his sea of consciousness. This willpower was vast, chaotic, and brutal, carrying the most primitive killing instinct. It had only one goal, to destroy Qingyu's self-will and assimilate him into a beast that only knew how to kill. This level of willpower impact is nothing more than this. Qingyu gradually adapted to the feeling. Subsequently, the true mysterious power within the blood river crystal began to erupt. Threads of red lines within the triangular prism crystal, like living things, frantically drilled into Qingyu's body. Next was the test of physical strength. Qingyu grunted, his facial muscles being the first to lose control. It was as if countless tiny insects were drilling and biting under his skin, his facial muscles uncontrollably twitching and distorting wildly. His skin would sometimes tighten and condense into strange black keratin, and at other times, it would crack inch by inch like dry land, with dark red blood mixed with tissue fluid constantly seeping out and splattering. This was just the beginning. The mutation rapidly spread. Throughout his entire body, arms, chest, legs, all the blood vessels in his body swelled and bulged as if boiling magma had been injected into them, like terrifying dark red giant pythons wildly twisting and struggling under his skin, as if they were about to burst out at any moment. The color of his blood in the blood vessels changed wildly, sometimes becoming almost transparent, and other times turning into dazzling gold. Extreme pain, like a tsunami, crashed against Qingyu's nerves. 1 second, he felt like he was thrown into the core of a star, every cell melting and burning in the high temperature. The next second, he felt as if he was thrown into an absolute zero-ice prison, where even his soul would be frozen. Qingyu endured this initial stage. His fingernails began to grow longer, his bones began to deform, and the hair all over his body grew like crazy. The entire process lasted for about 20 minutes before Qingyu returned to normal. Qingyu sat on the ground, breathing heavily. He looked at his restored hands with lingering fear. If I didn't know this was a normal reaction to fusing with a blood river crystal, I would have suspected I was turning into a monster. He could endure the willpower impact and the intense pain, but the feeling of being completely out of control of his body and letting it deform, along with the sense of horror, was the most unbearable. However, it finally succeeded. Qingyu's eyes sparkled with exhaustion but also excitement. The mysterious power of the blood river crystal imprinted a strange, powerful, and vibrant force at the genetic level of every cell deep within his body. However, before becoming an undying, the use of this power was more like a skill that needed to be actively activated. Qingyu was not in a hurry to try it. After just fusing, he still needed to patiently and slowly connect with the blood river power at the cellular level with his consciousness. Only after becoming familiar with it would it be convenient to wield. 10 days later, inside the deep cave, Qingyu slowly opened his eyes. After 10 days of adaptation, the blood river power dormant deep within his cells was now as easy to command as his own limbs. He stood up, stepped out of the cave, and floated in midair. The faint morning light shone on him, carrying the fresh scent unique to the primeval forest. Let's try it. Qingyu took a deep breath, his eyes becoming incredibly focused. His consciousness, like an invisible tentacle, instantly sank to the most microscopic level of his body, precisely, grabbing, the mysterious energy integrated into his genes. Blood river power, activate. Buzz. An invisible fluctuation instantly spread from within Qingyu's body. On his exposed skin, countless blood-red secret patterns, seemingly simple yet containing incredibly profound and deep meanings, suddenly appeared. The moment these blood-red secret patterns appeared, boom, the entire world completely changed in his eyes. It's here. Law comprehension amplification. Qingyu understood in his heart, but the intensity of the personal experience still shook his mind. The already relatively clear fluctuations of the laws of time and space now became unprecedentedly tangible. Both higher-level laws became incredibly clear and vivid. His understanding and comprehension speed of space-time instantly surged. Not only that, gold, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, light, the fluctuations of these 8 lower-level fundamental laws also became unprecedentedly clear and active, as if dormant strings had been suddenly plucked. Although not as harmonious as the laws of space-time, their clarity far exceeded what it was before fusing with the blood river crystal. My talent is amplifying this effect. It's impossible for a normal person to have such a significant effect after fusing one blood river crystal. Qingyu's pupils suddenly contracted, and a huge wave of ecstasy surged in his heart. Ha 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 ha. The immense joy made Qingyu unable to help but let out a long howl. His laughter was like thunder, shaking the valley. He needed to feel this genetic leap more intuitively. His gaze was like lightning, locking onto a 1,000-meter-high rugged peak below. Qingyu didn't even use his original force, relying solely on his mind to mobilize the pure physical strength that had surged due to the blood river power deep within his genes. His right fist clenched, and the blood-red secret patterns on his skin suddenly lit up. Majestic life force gathered. HMPH. A simple, unadorned punch was thrown. Rumble. Where the punch landed, the air was compressed and torn into a white shockwave. Like a giant hammer of a god striking down. There was no explosion, only the terrifying sound of rocks being instantly pulverized, crushed, and annihilated. Centered on the point of impact, half of the massive mountain instantly turned to dust. A mushroom cloud of smoke and dust shot into the sky. The remaining mountain was riddled with cracks, teetering on the verge of collapse. A normal person fusing with one blood river crystal only increases their strength by 2 to 3/10, but I've increased it by a full 2 times. He felt the surging, majestic life force within him, verifying his guess. Indeed, the life gene level boosted by the blood river crystal was also perfectly amplified by my 8-fold talent. This meant that after fusing with one blood river crystal, his life gene level also directly leapt by 2 times. Chapter 57, Failure of Fusion of the Third Star. Blood river crystal, combined with my talent, this is simply a perfect match. Qingyu looked at the 3 remaining blood river crystals quietly suspended in the air, his eyes burning like lava. One was enough to bring such a heaven-defying improvement. If he could fuse more, pushing his genetic level even higher. I wonder if I can fuse the second one now. Let's try. Qingyu's eyes gleamed. Qingyu didn't delay and immediately began fusing the second blood river crystal. The process was still painful and dangerous. The mental impact of fusing the second one was twice that of the first, but for him, it was still easy to overcome. However, the requirement for physical strength, as he knew, was 10 times that of fusing the first. When the blood-colored threads from the blood river crystal once again surged into his body, Qingyu's body instantly endured an unimaginable impact. HMPH. Qingyu grimaced in pain, unable to help but let out a muffled groan. Muscles tore and reformed under even greater intensity, bones groaned under the strain, as if about to be crushed. His skin instantly became covered in dense, dark red scales with a metallic sheen, then receded. His entire physique would swell like a giant, then shrink into a dwarf. Each distortion was accompanied by bone-deep agony and a tearing sensation as his body teetered on the brink of collapse. Qingyu held his mind firm, his powerful will like a stabilizing anchor, enduring half an hour of hellish torment. Phew, that was torture. When everything finally subsided, Qingyu looked as if he had been pulled from a pool of blood, his aura weak, but his eyes exceptionally bright. He had succeeded. Although the process was 10 times more difficult than the first, and his body was almost at the point of collapse, he ultimately endured it. The clarity of the laws increased again, and his life gene level jumped another 2 times. Continue. The third one. I'll challenge my limits, Qingyu said, holding the third blood river crystal. The mental impact was even stronger, but it was still crushed before his powerful world lord Rankwil. But when that even more violent, even deeper torrent of blood-colored energy surged into his body, Qingyu's face instantly turned pale. Ah! The intensity this time far exceeded his estimation. Even Qingyu couldn't help but cry out in pain. Muscles, bones, internal organs, nerves, everything reached its limit of endurance in an instant. Crack, crack, chilling sounds of shattering echoed densely from within his body. His skin, like broken porcelain, instantly became covered in terrifying, bone-deep cracks. Hard bone spurs protruded uncontrollably from various parts of his body, and Qingyu clearly felt his body's gene chains wailing under the unbearable strain. I can't hold on. A large amount of blood-colored power retreated from Qingyu's body. Those blood-colored threads slowly withdrew from his wounds, shrinking back into the triangular prism-shaped blood river crystal. A moment later, the blood river crystal transformed from a near-transparent state back to its original blood-red color. Fusing the third one had failed. Hiss. I simply can't withstand it. Each fusion increases the physical requirement tenfold. It's too outrageous. Qingyu muttered, holding the third blood river crystal. Cough cough, it seems, 3 is the limit for now. Qingyu forced a bitter smile. The injuries on his body looked terrifying, but for his universe rank 9 life force, as he circulated his primal energy, the wounds on his skin began to writhe and heal at a visible speed. In just a short while, he had largely recovered. Since my physical strength isn't enough, fusing blood river crystals will stop here for now. Qingyu looked at the 2 remaining blood river crystals. Next, I'll first acquire enough blood river crystal reserves. Physical strength can be addressed later. For the next 6 months, Qingyu roamed the vast lands of the Blood Luo world like an emotionless hunter. He avoided world cities guarded by world lords, specifically targeting lord cities that only had territory lord rank leaders. His modus operandi became a routine. Qingyu would infiltrate the target city, using Silver Stream for perfect concealment, spending a day or 2 to ascertain the layout of the lord's mansion's core area, the target territory lord's strength, and his activity patterns. Then, in the dead of night on the 3rd day, he would descend like the god of death, quickly eliminating the target using his cloud-caressing vine, seizing blood river crystals and storage equipment, erasing all traces, and swiftly vanishing. The entire process was fast, precise, and ruthless, never dragging on. 6 months here refers to 6 months in the outside world, which is about 1 month in the Blood Luo world. Qingyu had visited 58 lord cities. A lord city had at least 1 blood river crystal, and when he was lucky, he could obtain 4 or 5 blood river crystals at once. Qingyu had now acquired a total of 153 blood river crystals. Qingyu wasn't worried that his frantic hunting over the past 6 months would attract the attention of the Blood Luo world. The Blood Luo world was too vast. There were tens of millions of world cities alone, each ruling over a vast territory with a diameter of hundreds of millions or even over 1 billion kilometers, and the lord cities under each world city were as numerous as the stars. More importantly, the Blood Luo world itself was a world that extremely revered strength, where slaughter was omnipresent. Lords fought each other, families vied for power, and the strong plundered the weak. It was estimated that many domain-level experts fell in battle every day. The dozens of territory lords Qingyu had eliminated in the past 6 months, against the bloody backdrop of the entire Blood Luo world, probably amounted to less than a drop in the ocean. On this day, Qingyu's target was Heiza territory, located on a vast plain. As usual, he first used Silver Stream's perfect concealment to quietly infiltrate Black Marsh City. On the first day of his investigation within the city, Qingyu keenly noticed that the Black Marsh City Lord's mansion had significantly stricter security than typical lord cities. Moreover, deep within the mansion, there were 2 powerful territory lord rank auras, one of which even reached the peak of domain level 9. An extra strong expert. Qingyu's heart stirred, but he didn't act rashly. Late on the second night, he once again infiltrated the city lord's mansion, easily subduing a Cloudsoar realm guard captain responsible for the core area. His powerful mental energy instantly hypnotized him. Do you have 2 domain-level experts in your Black Marsh City Lord's mansion? Qingyu asked directly. The hypnotized guard captain's eyes were blank as he mechanically replied. The City Lord's mansion only has Lord City Lord as a domain-level expert. The other is an envoy from the Eternal Temple, who will be leaving tomorrow. Eternal Temple envoy. Qingyu's eyes instantly lit up. An unexpected surprise. Qingyu knew that the Blood River crystals for these world cities and lord cities in the Blood Luo world all came from the Eternal Temple, with envoys sent by the temple to distribute Blood River crystals to world cities and lord cities. This temple envoy might just be the one distributing Blood River crystals, happening to pass through Black Marsh City. A glint of excitement flashed in Qingyu's eyes. Casually dealing with the guard captain, Qingyu didn't act rashly. He calmly decided to investigate thoroughly before making his move. Chapter 58, Exposure Risks. Black Marsh City itself had a total of 3 territory lord ranks. Besides the city lord, 2 other powerful families also had a territory lord rank overseeing them. On the third night, the thunderous operation commenced. It was the familiar pattern. The temple envoy and the Black Marsh City Lord were together. Qingyu chose to deal with the territory lord ranks of the other 2 families first. The cloud-caressing vine instantly killed them and collected their bodies, all in one swift motion. Finally, the target was locked on the most heavily guarded City Lord's mansion, where the Black Marsh City Lord was accompanying the temple envoy. Cloud-caressing. Qingyu stealthily snuck in, decisive in his killing. PFF'd. The Black Marsh City Lord was instantly riddled with holes, without any suspense. The temple envoy reacted incredibly fast. The moment the vine reached him, the seemingly ordinary dark red robe on his body suddenly erupted with dazzling blood-red light. Countless profound secret patterns emerged, forming a thick, blood-colored protective shield. Boom! PFF'd. The vine struck the shield with a loud crash. The shield vibrated violently, covered in cracks, and its light dimmed. The envoy was hit hard, spitting out fresh blood, his face pale. His eyes were instantly filled with boundless shock and disbelief. If not for this dark blood robe, bestowed by the temple, he would have already died. You are, he looked at Qingyu, who emerged from the shadows, with fear. The attack method this young man used reminded him of a legend. He suddenly grabbed an inconspicuous metal wristband on his right wrist with his left hand. Not good. The moment he saw that metal wristband, a sense of unease welled up in Qingyu's heart. Full power. Kill. An alarm blared in Qingyu's mind. Buzz. All 216 main cloud-caressing vine tendrils moved, instantly erupting with even more terrifying power, like a raging blood-red tide fiercely closing in an strangling crack. PFF'd. The nearly shattered dark blood robe shield, along with the body beneath it, was instantly torn apart and crushed by the violent power. The temple envoy, with his terror and unwillingness, was crushed by the cloud-caressing vine. The Black Marsh City Lord's corpse and all his belongings, including the metal wristband on the temple envoy's wrist, were all swept up by the vines and instantly put into Qingyu's world ring. Qingyu did not stop, transforming into a streak of light and soaring into the sky, piercing through 18 layers of clouds at the fastest speed and breaking out of the atmosphere. Phew! After entering the F-class spaceship, Qingyu immediately took out the metal wristband. Intelligent Assistant, immediately scan this object. Qingyu commanded. Beep. Scan complete. The target is a simple medium-range communicator. The spaceship's intelligent system reported mechanically. Did this communicator send any messages just now? Recent message editing records detected, but message sending was not completed. Phew. Good thing. Qingyu let out a sigh of relief. He had just used the cloud-caressing vine. Judging by the temple envoy's expression, he had clearly realized Qingyu was an outer demon, based on the cloud-caressing vine, which did not exist in the Blood Luo world. Once this temple envoy sent out the message, given the Blood Luo world's hatred for the Virtual Universe Corporation, undying spiritual gods might be dispatched to find him, and then he would only be able to end this Blood Luo world mission early. How did he block the cloud-caressing vine's attack? Qingyu recalled the scene just now. That envoy actually withstood one of the cloud-caressing vine's attacks. Qingyu took out the items from his world ring. The temple envoy's body had already been crushed by the cloud-caressing vine. Qingyu reached out and picked up a few broken blood-colored fragments, observing them carefully. This is a primal energy battle suit. Qingyu frowned. Although cultivation had made his soul powerful and his memory and computing abilities terrifying, these did not affect his past life memories. This also led to Qingyu not remembering many details of Swallowed Star. Just like now, seeing the simple communicator and primal energy battle suit with his own eyes, some fragmented impressions surfaced. The Blood Luo world doesn't seem to be completely without technology. I must solve the problem of natives potentially using communicators to send messages. Qingyu's eyes were sharp. Otherwise, the next operation could attract powerful individuals from the Eternal Temple, or even World Lord ranks. He immediately asked in the spaceship intelligence, is there a way to block communication signals in a specific area below? As a standard spaceship, it is not equipped with a portable signal jammer. However, the spaceship itself can emit signal jamming waves. The spaceship's intelligence system responded mechanically. Very good. Qingyu's mind was set. Next, the spaceship will disguise itself as a meteor and enter the 18th layer of cloud-filled area in the Blood Luo world to hover and await orders. For subsequent operations, I will send you the specific coordinates of the target area in advance. Qingyu quickly made arrangements. Upon receiving the coordinates, immediately emit signal jamming waves covering a 1,000,000-kilometer radius centered on the coordinate point. A 1,000,000-kilometer range was enough to cover a large lord city and its surrounding areas. To prevent any mishaps, Qingyu added, his eyes cold. The planet-destroying cannon will enter low-power preheating state, ready to charge at any time. If a World Lord rank is detected nearby, and there is a possibility of the spaceship being discovered, launch the planet-destroying cannon immediately without asking for instructions. Qingyu did not mention undying spiritual gods. Although the planet-destroying cannon was comparable to an undying attack, it could not pose a fatal threat to an undying spiritual god. Command confirmed. Warning. To avoid misjudgment by the spaceship leading to exposure, and for optimal firing timing confirmation, it is recommended that you operate it personally to mitigate risks. First execute my previous orders, and report any anomalies to me first. Qingyu re-added. It seems I need to buy an intelligent life form after this mission. I didn't think much of it before, but when strong execution ability is truly needed, this intelligent assistant is simply not enough. This thought flashed through Qingyu's mind. After doing all this, Qingyu sat cross-legged in the spaceship, beginning to tally his spoils of war. First, from the 2 family ancestors in Black Marsh City, Qingyu found 1 blood river crystal on each of them. Then, from the Black Marsh City Lord, he had 2 blood river crystals on him. Finally, from the temple envoy, Qingyu found his storage ring, searched it, and took out an exquisite metal box from inside. The box opened, and a full 8 blood river crystals, emitting beautiful blood-red light, lay quietly within. 8. This time I harvested a total of 12 blood river crystals, not bad. Not bad. A hint of joy flashed in Qingyu's eyes. After resting on the spaceship for a day, Qingyu planned to continue his operation. His goal was 10,000 blood river crystals. With the signal shielding provided by the spaceship, Qingyu grew bolder and bolder. Sometimes, when the mood struck him, he even used the Tribulation Divine Weapon to personally slay territory lord ranks. As long as he ensured no one escaped to spread the news, and took the bodies with him when he left, the natives of the Blood Luo world would not be able to discover him, the outer demon. By the end of his first year in the Blood Luo world, Qingyu's efficiency in acquiring blood river crystals grew higher and higher, from 1 operation every 3 days to 1 every 2 days. Then to 1 every day, and even several times a day. Chapter 59, Guidance from the Lord of the Eclipse Palace. In the Sky Eclipse Palace on Thunder Island in the virtual universe, Qingyu stood respectfully in the vast hall, facing the Sky Eclipse Palace Master who sat like the center of the universe. His reddish-brown hair flowed down, his silver robe was elegant, a vertical line between his brows conveyed supreme majesty, and his black eyes seemed capable of piercing through time and space. Teacher, Qingyu saluted. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's elegant voice responded. 3 years of tempering in the Blood Luo world, your killing intent is restrained, and your sharpness is even greater. But your comprehension of laws seems to have made no progress. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's gaze was like a torch, instantly seeing through Qingyu's true situation. Qingyu had indeed neglected his cultivation over the past 3 years, as his energy was entirely focused on the Blood River crystal. Qingyu's heart slightly tensed, and he frankly said, "This disciple is ashamed. For the past 3 years, my energy has been primarily focused on acquiring Blood River crystal, and I have become lax in comprehending secret techniques. For the 3rd level of myriad tribulations, this disciple has only comprehended 16 secret techniques, and for the 3rd volume of chaotic true understanding, I have only found 57 secret techniques." The Sky Eclipse Palace Master did not scold him, his voice remained calm. Cultivation tasks are also a form of cultivation, but never mistake the branch for the root. Remember that laws are the foundation. Yes, this disciple will bear that in mind. Please guide me, teacher. Qingyu respectfully asked for guidance. This was his annual opportunity, where the Sky Eclipse Palace Master would resolve his doubts or explain laws and secret techniques. The secret technique Myriad Tribulations, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master slowly began. Its essence lies in guidance, not rigid diagrams of moves. It uses secret techniques as a guide to outline the spatial temporal veins, leading the cultivator to see and hear the law itself. When you are comprehending it, remember not to be fixated on mastering the form of each secret technique. Immerse your mind in the momentum outlined by the secret technique, rather than being confined to its form. Qingyu seemed to be deep in thought. For the Sky Eclipse Palace Master, the myriad tribulations created by Yi Yun held no secrets. He was offering suggestions to Qingyu from a high vantage point, helping him avoid many detours. As for the chaotic true understanding, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master continued. It is like disassembling the profound mysteries of the Chaos Tablet into thousands of puzzle pieces. Each piece contains a part of the true meaning of the Chaos Tablet. The key is not how many pieces you find, but whether you can discover the interfaces between the pieces. Interfaces. Qingyu focused. Precisely, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master nodded. Every secret technique in the chaotic true understanding does not exist in isolation. Once you master the first secret technique, you should use the law's rhythm contained within it as a springboard to perceive and deduce the second secret technique connected to it. Instead of treating these secret techniques as individual entities, which would not only make it more difficult but also prevent you from understanding the connections between each secret technique, your comprehension of laws naturally wouldn't progress quickly. Qingyu's mind was greatly shaken. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's words were like parting the clouds to see the sun. He had previously been completely lost, like a blind man touching an elephant, only knowing to search blindly, yet unaware that there were inherent connecting threads between the secret techniques. His efficiency was naturally low. I'll use the first and second volumes you've already mastered as examples, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master continued, personally demonstrating for Qingyu. He slowly extended a hand, his slender fingers lightly touching the void. Buzz. A faint glimmer lit up, rapidly evolving into an abstruse and complex secret technique trajectory. This was precisely the 17th secret technique from the first volume of Chaotic True Understanding, Still Water Ripples. The core of this secret technique lies in the ripples stirred by that faint ripple beneath the still water surface. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's fingertip moved slightly, and the secret technique trajectory suddenly expanded and magnified. The rhythmic fluctuations at its edges naturally connected with the 38th secret technique of the first volume, Stellar Vortex Guidance. Now look at this, Stellar Vortex Guidance. It seemingly describes the gravitational field of a rotating celestial body, but the inherent oscillation frequency within it shares a commonality with the ripple oscillation caused by the faint ripple at the node where space and time intertwine. As the Sky Eclipse Palace Master explained, the two secret technique trajectories perfectly interlocked in the void, forming a more stable, more profound composite structure, as if unveiling a new layer of the law. Qingyu watched, utterly captivated. When he had previously mastered these two secret techniques, he only found them individually exquisite, but he had never imagined that there were such clear connection points between them. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master tapped his finger again. This time, it was the ninth secret technique Qingyu had mastered from the second volume, Vortex Collapse. As soon as this trajectory appeared, its initial spiral structure resonated with the previous, still water ripples, and stellar vortex guidance. Vortex collapse, the reason it rapidly forms a spiral, is precisely by utilizing the fluctuations generated by the resonance of faint ripples and stellar vortices. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's voice was like a grand bell, striking Qingyu's heart. The three secret technique trajectories interconnected, substantiated, and magnified each other in the void, ultimately forming a dynamic scene that was even closer to the true meaning of the ripple diagram than any single secret technique. So that's it. So that's it. Qingyu was so excited he almost cried out. His previous comprehension was like picking up scattered puzzle pieces, only seeing the pattern on each piece, but never imagining that they could be assembled into a complete picture. And now, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master had not only pointed out the existence of the puzzle but had also personally demonstrated how to connect several key pieces. It was an epiphany. His mind was suddenly enlightened. The strong sense of realization made Qingyu instantly forget where he was. His mind was completely immersed in his own understanding of the first two volumes of Chaotic True Understanding. Using the secret techniques demonstrated by the Sky Eclipse Palace Master as a reference, he began frantically searching for connections among the secret techniques he had already mastered. The 15th secret technique of the second volume and the 5th secret technique of the first volume, they match up. The 42nd secret technique of the first volume combined with the 171st secret technique is exactly the third secret technique of the second volume. And this one, and that one. One by one, previously isolated secret techniques now found their neighbors, corroborating each other, explaining each other, and collectively outlining a deeper, more unified law rhythm of the still water diagram and the ripple diagram. With each new connection discovered, Qingyu's understanding of the laws of space and time deepened, and he also had a vague sense of direction for the secret techniques he had not yet mastered. Qingyu was completely immersed in the pleasure of finding patterns, forgetting the passage of time. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master quietly watched Qingyu, who was deep in deduction, with faint law fluctuations resonating around him. A trace of approval, barely perceptible, finally flickered in his calm black eyes. "This child is teachable," an elegant voice said with a hint of subtle satisfaction. 3 days later, Qingyu's consciousness slowly withdrew from that exhilarating state of deduction, and his entire demeanor gained a sense of roundedness and clarity. Although he didn't immediately master new secret techniques, his understanding of the ones he had already mastered reached an unprecedented depth. Chapter 60, 10,000 Blood Crystals. Qingyu had a premonition that his mastery of the third volume of the Chaotic True Understanding would likely be astonishingly fast. "Thank you for your guidance, teacher." Qingyu bowed deeply, his gratitude coming from the bottom of his heart. The 3 days of immersive comprehension were worth far more than 3 years of his own solitary cultivation. Sky Eclipse Palace Master nodded slightly. "The path has been shown, how far you can go depends on yourself. This disciple will not disappoint teacher's expectations." Qingyu's tone was firm. While cultivation missions offer opportunities, self-cultivation is the fundamental aspect. "Go now." Sky Eclipse Palace Master said no more. "Yes." This disciple takes his leave. Qingyu once again bowed respectfully, carrying immense gains and new insights, and departed from Thunder Island. Leaving Sky Eclipse Palace, Qingyu felt both a sense of sudden enlightenment and a hint of urgency. His teacher was right. For the past 3 years, for the sake of Blood River crystals, his progress in comprehending laws had indeed been too slow. Blood Luo world, a certain hidden mountain cave. His mental energy scanned the world ring, where blood-colored crystals, like a small mountain, were piled up. They were triangular prisms, emitting rich life fluctuations and law auras. They were indeed Blood River crystals. 7,509 pieces. A hint of fervor flashed in Qingyu's eyes. His frantic hunting over the past 3 years was far more efficient than at first. With the spaceship providing precise signal shielding support within the 18th layer of clouds, his actions were no longer hampered by worries. Relying on the cloud-caressing vine's absolute power to crush his opponents and Silver Stream's perfect stealth, he could even visit 2 to 3 Lord cities within a single day during the later stages. One more month. To gather 10,000 pieces. Qingyu set his goal. 1 month later. Finally. 10,000 pieces. Qingyu let out a long sigh of relief. 3 full years, without stopping, without the slightest slack, of frantic collection. Even with his strong will, he felt a hint of exhaustion at this moment. It was time for a short break. Virtual Universe, Yushang Mountain Public Area. Qingyu invited Mocha, Huang Li, and Yu Meng, a few of his peers with whom he had a good relationship, for a small gathering. Qingyu, you've been completely gone for 3 years. Mocha still had that roguish smile, but deep in his eyes, there was a newfound steadiness forged through trials. I've already completed 2 difficult level missions, earned a lot of points, and almost lost my life last time. Huang Li also nodded. That's right, Qingyu. How did you stay in one mission world for 3 full years? What kind of mission takes so long? Yu Meng sat beside Qingyu, listening quietly, her beautiful eyes also filled with curiosity and concern. Qingyu smiled slightly, taking a sip of his drink. He didn't answer directly but hinted. For cultivation missions, points are certainly important. But have you ever wondered why the corporation sets these worlds as our mission targets? He looked around at them, slowly saying, some mission worlds themselves contain opportunities. The value of these opportunities might far exceed the points rewarded by the corporation. Explore more, pay more attention, and perhaps you'll have unexpected gains. He paused, his tone becoming serious. Of course, the prerequisite is to act within your capabilities. Opportunities often come with huge risks. If you're not confident, never force it. Upon hearing this, Mocha and Huang Li's eyes brightened, and they immediately fell into thought. They were all intelligent people and instantly understood Qingyu's hint. Yu Meng also nodded thoughtfully. The atmosphere of the gathering was relaxed and brief. After discussing their mission experiences and cultivation insights, everyone gradually dispersed, leaving only Qingyu and Yu Meng. When I was in Primordial Chaos City, my comprehension of laws was incredibly clear, but after coming out, it feels like a thick veil has been placed over it. Yu Meng said softly, her tone carrying a hint of imperceptible disappointment. Especially the profundities of the illusory Moon Chaos Tablet, comprehending them has become much more difficult. She wasn't complaining, just stating a fact, but the faint dimness in her eyes was caught by Qingyu. Qingyu's heart stirred, and he asked, you chose the illusory Moon Chaos Tablet? Yu Meng nodded. Qingyu was silent for a moment, then contacted Marquis Tianyi, his teacher. Teacher, this disciple has something to ask. Regarding the illusory Moon Chaos Tablet, does the Virtual Universe Corporation's treasury have top-tier secret law texts corresponding to its profundities that can be studied after leaving Primordial Chaos City? In the virtual projection, Marquis Tianyi looked at Qingyu, a knowing smile flashing in his eyes, with the gentle warmth of an elder. You're asking for that illusionist girl, aren't you? Good taste. Yes. Qingyu admitted frankly. There was nothing to hide about his current relationship with Yu Meng. Marquis Tianyi didn't ask further and directly gave the answer. The illusory Moon Chaos Tablet is known for its illusion techniques combined with the laws of light and time. In the treasury, there is a secret law called Illusory Sea Mirage Codex, with a total of 7 volumes. Although it cannot compare to the chaotic true understanding bestowed upon you by Sky Eclipse Palace Master, it has unique aspects in illusion cultivation and also has a very good guiding effect on comprehending the illusory Moon Chaos Tablet, which can compensate for some of the shortcomings of not being able to personally comprehend the Chaos Tablet. Illusory Sea Mirage Codex. Qingyu noted it down. Thank you, teacher. Go now. Marquis Tianyi smiled. Qingyu turned to Yu Meng, directly opened the virtual screen, brought up the treasury interface, searched for the Illusory Sea Mirage Codex secret law, and sent her the purchase link and information. Yu Meng, take a look at this Illusory Sea Mirage Codex secret law. It corresponds to the Illusory Moon Chaos Tablet and should be helpful to you. The Illusory Sea Mirage Codex only had 7 volumes, much cheaper than the Chaotic True Understanding. The complete set only cost 1 billion points. You can buy the first 2 volumes, they only cost 10,000 points. Qingyu suggested. Yu Meng looked at the introduction of the secret law, which emitted a mesmerizing flowing light on the screen, her beautiful eyes instantly widening, filled with surprise and disbelief. This secret law perfectly matched her path. Qingyu. Yu Meng was a little flustered and hugged Qingyu. It's good if it can help you improve your strength. Go ahead and exchange it. He had indeed overlooked it before, he himself had Marquis Tianyi as a teacher to guide him at any time. But other geniuses, especially those of their generation, had all performed very ordinarily, and no one specifically guided them on how to determine their next path. And the secret laws in the Virtual Universe Corporation's treasury were as vast as the sea, making it impossible for these geniuses to find out which secret law suited them. Qingyu. I will work hard in my cultivation. Yu Meng looked up at Qingyu, her eyes sparkling with firm resolve, then exchanged the secret law. When Yu Meng left the primal universe, she had passed the 4th level of the Heavenly Bridge, earning 15,000 points, which was more than enough to exchange for the first 2 volumes of the Illusory Sea Mirage Codex. The subtle intimacy between them did not last too long, the brief tenderness and rest eventually had to end. You must be careful in the mission world. Yu Meng looked up, her dreamlike eyes now clearly filled with worry. Qingyu reached out and gently held Yu Meng's cool hand, his voice unusually firm. Don't worry. Chapter 61, Ruins of the Ancient Gods. Next, I'll go to the ancient god ruins, Qingyu said, his gaze fixed on the depths of the Blood Luo world from his spaceship. He piloted the spaceship, disguised as a meteorite, set the coordinates, and sped towards the ancient god ruins. Sky Eclipse Palace, 1st floor side hall. On the huge monitoring screen, the trajectory of Qingyu's spaceship, disguised as a meteorite, was clearly displayed, flying towards a crimson area. His Highness Qingyu is also going to the ancient god ruins. The undying spiritual god Arno, responsible for overseeing the outer regions of the Blood Luo world, stared intently at the screen. He immediately contacted several World Lord rank subordinates responsible for monitoring the internal movements of the Blood Luo world via internal communication. Everyone, stay alert. His Highness Qingyu is heading to the ancient god ruins. Arno's voice carried an undeniable authority. Within the 18 layers of Cloud Chi, His Highness is responsible for his own life and death. We must not interfere with his trial. But, if any native dares to break through the 18 layers of Cloud Chi and pursue him, kill them without mercy. We must ensure His Highness's safety. Understand? Yes, sir. The several World Lord rank supervisors solemnly accepted the order. They knew that His Highness Qingyu was the personal disciple of the Sky Eclipse Palace Master and dared not be negligent in the slightest. The spaceship flew at high speed over the vast Blood Luo continent, and 2 months later, it finally reached the sky above the ancient god ruins. We're here. Qingyu's eyes were solemn as he controlled the spaceship to stop above the outer perimeter of the ancient god ruins. The spaceship hatch opened, and Qingyu stepped out, falling downwards. When he reached the 15th layer of mist, the scenery began to change dramatically. The originally grayish-white clouds were replaced by an incredibly dense, crimson color. The closer he got to the ancient god ruins, the deeper and more viscous the crimson became, like a vast, turbulent, boiling sea of blood, stretching between heaven and earth. An invisible, chilling, terrifying baleful aura, even through the spaceship, subtly permeated, making his soul feel suppressed and restless. The materialized baleful aura surged like a tide. It wasn't just a mental impact of killing desire. For Qingyu's will, it was like a gentle breeze, completely unable to stir his killing desire. Furthermore, a strange energy ignored his primal energy and psychic energy defenses, penetrating like countless fine needles, furiously drilling into his skin, muscles, and bones, and then exiting from the other side. As if treating his body as transparent air. This is the baleful aura of the ancient god ruins. A materialized strengthening energy, Qingyu understood. No longer lingering, his body, like a meteorite, accelerated its descent towards the churning crimson sea of clouds below. The further down he went, the thicker the crimson, and the heavier the baleful aura. Boom! Qingyu pierced through the last layer of cloud mist, which was as viscous as blood plasma, and the scene before him suddenly opened up. Below was a vast, unimaginably shattered land. Mountains had their peaks neatly cut off, leaving smooth, mirror-like surfaces. The wasteland was covered with massive craters, hundreds of kilometers in diameter, arranged in a colossal, unimaginable, footprint shape. The footprint of the beast god of gold. Qingyu was inwardly shaken, even though he had known about it. Witnessing this terrifying ruin, spanning hundreds of billions of kilometers in diameter, and feeling the lingering, sharp will and monstrous resentment within it, capable of tearing the universe apart, still made his soul tremble. The cruelty of the universe was such that even such an existence perished here. He landed on a barren, cracked rocky ground, where the concentration of baleful aura far exceeded that in the air. Each penetration of the baleful aura brought an extremely faint, cellular-level sting and numbness, as if countless tiny hammers were tempering his flesh, tendons, and bones. This strengthening effect should also be amplified by my eightfold talent. Qingyu's heart burned with anticipation. Find the place with the densest baleful aura. To discern the concentration of baleful aura, one only needed to look at the color of the red mist. The deeper the color, the more viscous it was like blood, the higher the baleful aura concentration. Qingyu did not go looking for the crater Luo Feng went to in the original story. There were many places with dense baleful aura. The ancient god ruins were boundless, and the eternal temple was located on the largest 10,081 baleful aura whirlpools, where the baleful aura concentration was extremely high. But besides that, many highly concentrated craters also had baleful aura whirlpools forming within them. Half an hour later, in the depths of a canyon in a broken mountain range, he discovered a deep pit 8 or 9,000 kilometers in diameter. The crimson mist churning within the pit was as dense as boiling blood plasma, its color so deep it was almost dark red to black. The surrounding baleful aura seemed to be subtly drawn and absorbed by this pit. This is it. Qingyu rejoiced inwardly. The baleful aura concentration in this pit far exceeded anything he had seen along the way. With a thought, the silver stream covering his body formed a perfect energy and life aura shielding layer, completely enveloping and concealing him. Unless an undying spiritual god deliberately investigated, or a world lord rank powerhouse saw him at close range with their naked eyes, it would be extremely difficult to discover Qingyu. Qingyu flew down over 1,000 kilometers into the pit, where the baleful aura was like knives. The impact of the killing intent became even more violent, but it still had no effect on Qingyu. The frequency and intensity of the strange energy passing through his body reached an astonishing level. Qingyu could very clearly feel his body gradually strengthening. I'll stay here for now, waiting for my body to slowly strengthen. While comprehending the laws, he found a relatively hidden indentation in the rock wall and controlled the arc light disc to carve out a cave dwelling. After carving out the cave dwelling, Qingyu sat cross-legged on the stone platform, completely relaxing his body and mind, allowing the baleful aura energy to strengthen every cell of his body. With the blessing of his eightfold talent, Qingyu's body was visibly strengthening almost every second. At this rate, in a month, my body's strength will be ready to try merging with the third blood river crystal. Maybe I'll have a chance to directly become a black warrior. Law comprehension cannot fall behind either. Qingyu's eyes sparkled. Qingyu calmed down and began to recall and digest the Sky Eclipse Palace Master's guidance. At the same time, his consciousness entered the origin of the universe according to the world heart, and activated the blood Luo power. The blood Luo secret patterns appeared, and the clarity of the laws reached an unprecedented level. Qingyu began to reorganize the first 2 volumes of the Chaotic True Understanding, intending to fully integrate all 2,162 secret techniques he had already found, discover the connections between each secret technique, and use this to deduce the secret techniques in the 3rd volume. Qingyu's own comprehension of laws was sufficient, and with the Sky Eclipse Palace Master clearing the confusion, his comprehension efficiency soared in this state. In just 10 days, he clearly sorted out the interconnected veins of more than half of the secret techniques in the 1st volume. Within a month, he found the connections between the secret techniques in the first 2 volumes, and Qingyu suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment. Comprehending the chaotic true understanding was like crossing a river blindfolded. Before, Qingyu had to constantly test with his feet to find the next stepping stone with each step he took. Now, Qingyu could predict where the next stepping stone would be in advance. Chapter 62, the 8th floor of Tongtian Bridge. This time, I should be able to fuse the third one. Qingyu once again cut his palm and took out a blood river crystal, placing it on the wound. The insane killing intent surged into his soul, but Qingyu ignored it. Then, scarlet threads from the blood river crystal continuously drilled into his body, and the blood river crystal itself became transparent. Hiss. It really hurts. But I can still endure it. His entire body, muscles, bones, and skin began to wildly contort. After about 10 minutes, the now transparent crystal completely melted and entered Qingyu's body. Success. Qingyu let out a low roar. His body was covered with an even more profound and intricate blood-red secret pattern. With each blood river crystal fused, the secret patterns on his body became more complex and complete. Fusing the third blood river crystal, he had become a blood warrior in the blood luo world. Now, he could not only wield stronger blood river power, but it also meant that his life gene level had once again leapt, reaching an astonishing 7 times its original level. His comprehension speed for laws also skyrocketed, becoming even faster than when he was in Primordial Chaos City. Continue to fuse the fourth one. Qingyu knew the chances were slim, but that didn't stop him from trying. The impact of the killing intent surged again, but this didn't faze him until the red threads from the blood river crystal drilled into his body. Crack. Bang. Qingyu's body couldn't withstand it at all. More than a dozen places on his skin directly burst open, and even some of his bones shattered. The scarlet threads began to flow backward, and the blood river crystal slowly returned to its original state in Qingyu's hand. It seems the third one was my limit. It gets harder and harder the further you go, Qingyu muttered, frowning slightly as he repaired his body. Each fusion requires 10 times the physical strength of the previous one. Even with my 8-fold talent bonus, becoming a black warrior by fusing 10 blood river crystals is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. In terms of willpower, he was confident he could withstand the impact even if he fused dozens more, but the inherent limitations of the human body were too far behind compared to existences like the Golden Beast God, who were born universe lords. Physical strength, I still need to continue refining it in the malevolent aura. Qingyu suppressed his thoughts, his gaze once again firm. Fortunately, my current law comprehension speed is terrifying. He stopped thinking further and once again immersed himself in cultivation. He allowed the malevolent energy of the ancient god ruins to wildly temper his body while fully concentrating on comprehending myriad tribulations and chaotic true understanding under the dual blessings of the blood river secret patterns and the world heart. 5 years passed quietly amidst the washing of the scarlet malevolent aura and the deduction of laws. Virtual universe, heavenly bridge plane. Your Highness Qingyu, are you challenging the heavenly bridge again? Ba Fen looked at Qingyu, a smile on his face, but his eyes couldn't hide his surprise. I remember you passed the 7th level last time, and it hasn't been that long, has it? Yes, Warden, Qingyu nodded calmly. This time, I'm challenging the Universe Tongtian Bridge's 8th level. The 8th level. Ba Fen's eyebrows shot up, and the surprise in his eyes grew even stronger. All right. However, someone is currently using the Universe Tongtian Bridge, so you'll have to wait a moment. No matter, Qingyu said, his expression unchanged, as he walked to the side to wait quietly. The wait was not long. After about 10 minutes, a flash of light appeared at the entrance of the Universe Tongtian Bridge, and a figure with a look of unwillingness was teleported out. It was none other than August, the territory lord rank genius from the highest beginning mythical region. Damn it. Last time I was so close to passing the 9th level, why am I still so close this time? August's face was not looking good. Clearly, this challenge had also failed. He took a deep breath, calming his surging primal energy and sense of frustration. When he looked up and his gaze swept across the island, it instantly fixed on Qingyu, who was waiting quietly. Qingyu, why is he challenging the heavenly bridge again? Could it be that he was also just a little short last time? Impossible. How long has he been cultivating? August thought, full of doubt. Qingyu, you can go to the Universe Tongtian Bridge now, Ba Fen called out to Qingyu. Qingyu merely responded faintly and walked towards the Universe Tongtian Bridge's entrance. Warden, is Qingyu confident about challenging the 8th level? August couldn't help but ask Ba Fen, looking at Qingyu's retreating figure. He is very confident, Ba Fen said with a smile. Stimulating these geniuses was part of his job. August didn't rush to leave. A strong sense of curiosity, and a bit of a desire to watch Thesho, arose in his heart. And he immediately contacted 2 of his closest territory Lord rank friends from the highest beginning mythical region through the virtual universe network. Raymond, Catherine, quick, come to the Heavenly Bridge Plains Universe District immediately. That Qingyu, the number 1 from this genius battle. He's actually going to challenge the Universe Tongtian Bridge's 8th level. Come and watch. Not long after, 2 figures appeared on the island almost simultaneously. They were August's friends, Raymond and Catherine. August, what did you say? A universe rank challenging the 8th level. Are you kidding me? Raymond, a burly figure with a great axe on his back, exclaimed as soon as he appeared, his face full of disbelief. Although all of them, the territory lord rank from the highest beginning mythical region, had passed the 8th level, they were territory lords, who had cultivated for thousands, even tens of thousands of years. If I'm not mistaken, this Qingyu only left Primordial Chaos City 5 or 6 years ago. Catherine, with her cold and elegant demeanor, had a hint of surprise in her eyes. Deepest part of the Universe Tongtian Bridge's 8th level, the boundless starry sky. Choose your opponent. Controller. In the distance, a figure stood silently, treading on a flowing light disc, carrying a tribulation divine weapon on his back, and wearing a black battle robe. It was the guardian of the Universe Tongtian Bridge's 8th level. A universe rank level 9, challenging the 8th level. The black-robed guardian looked at Qingyu, his voice cold, but a very faint hint of appreciation flashed in his eyes. Among all the company's universe rank members, no one has yet passed the 8th level. Your courage is commendable, but I hope your strength matches that courage. Please enlighten me, Qingyu said calmly. Very well. The guardian said no more. The flowing light disc under his feet suddenly lit up with dazzling light. I'll use the 6th stage of the Tribulation Divine Weapon, Upstream Flow, to test your quality. Buzz. As soon as the guardian finished speaking, a vast fluctuation of space-time laws erupted. Countless iridescent sword energies, seemingly condensed from fragments of time and space, surged out from all around him like a reversing galaxy, intertwining and converging in the void to form a magnificent river of sword energy spanning the starry sky. The long river surged, emitting a sharp roar that tore through space. Wherever it passed, even the starlight was distorted. Upstream flow. Qingyu's eyes narrowed. He dared not be negligent. Since he dared to challenge the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge, he had naturally mastered the 6th stage of the Tribulation Divine Weapon in these 5 years. Chapter 63, Passing the 8th Level. A similarly vast, brilliant long river, also composed of countless glowing white sword energies, roared forth from Qingyu's front. The 2 long rivers, like 2 silver-white space-time giant dragons, confronted each other across the silent starry sky, exuding a heart-palpitating sharpness and immense power. Go! The guardian shouted in a low voice, and the long river of sword energy he activated was the first to attack. The front of the long river suddenly stirred up towering waves, carrying layers upon layers of dense, rain-like torrents of sword energy, with a terrifying momentum that seemed to crush everything, fiercely rushing towards Qingyu. Defend. Qingyu's eyes were sharp as he mentally controlled his own long river. The 6th level of upstream flow, to some extent, was no longer confined by form and could be controlled by its master to defend against enemies. He saw that the front of his long river of sword energy rapidly swirled and condensed, instantly forming an enormous, curved sword shield, which fearlessly crashed into the opponent's surging torrent. Boom! A dull roar of countless sword energies madly intertwining and annihilating. Dazzling glowing fragments splattered like exploding stars. The guardian's surging torrent was forcibly halted midway, and Qingyu's curved sword shield also cracked with countless fissures. Both long rivers vibrated violently, and in their first head-on clash, they were evenly matched. A glint flashed in the guardian's eyes, and his offensive changed again. The long river of sword energy he controlled suddenly split, and several thinner but equally sharp tributary long rivers of sword energy, like venomous snakes, bypassed the head-on stalemate and attacked the two flanks and rear of Qingyu's long river from tricky angles. Entangle. Qingyu remained calm in the face of danger. He mentally activated the tail end of his own long river, which, like the agile tail of a giant python, spread out and coiled backward, forming an impenetrable circular sword curtain. Chirp 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 chirp. The Guardian's attack, now split into several tributaries, fiercely struck the sword curtain, producing a dense, rain-like cutting sound. Most of the sword energy was twisted and annihilated, and the few that broke through the gaps had their power greatly reduced during their advance, finally striking the main body of Qingyu's long river, only stirring up faint ripples. The two long rivers of sword energy engaged in a fierce offense and defense in the starry sky. The Guardian's long river offensive was like a torrential storm, continuous and endless, sometimes condensing into a giant cone for a thrust, sometimes transforming into a sky curtain to envelop, and sometimes dividing into thousands of fine streams to penetrate everywhere, fully demonstrating the domineering power and versatility of the sixth level of the Tribulation divine weapon. Each attack carried a terrifying power capable of tearing apart the starry sky, forcing Qingyu into perilous situations. Qingyu's long river, on the other hand, was like an agile swimming dragon, pushing the space-time flow characteristics of upstream flow to its limit. He no longer directly confronted the Guardian's impact force, but instead focused the long river's power on defense and guidance. Several of the Guardian's sharp offensives, with sword energy almost reaching Qingyu's face, were always, at the last moment, narrowly resolved by his control of the sword energy long river to form sword energy vortices or cleverly guided space-time deflections. Young man, your current level won't get you through the 8th level. Go back and cultivate for a few more years. The black-robed Guardian looked at Qingyu and spoke arrogantly. You're not much stronger than me. Today, I will definitely pass the 8th level. Qingyu replied coldly. The battle continued for a long time, and the Guardian's long river of sword energy suddenly erupted with unprecedented light. The entire long river instantly widened and solidified, as if it wanted to encompass the entire starry sky, and then, with world-destroying pressure, like a collapsing silver sky, it fiercely suppressed Qingyu and his long river of sword energy. This was an attack that condensed all of his power. One last gamble. A cold light burst from Qingyu's eyes. He no longer held back, completely integrating all of his law insights into his own long river. Upstream, return to ruin. Qingyu roared. The originally surging and flowing long river of sword energy suddenly collapsed and rotated madly inward. Countless glowing white sword energies no longer attacked dispersedly, but instead followed the same incredibly profound space-time trajectory, instantly condensing into a deeply profound silver-white vortex at the center of the long river. When the Guardian's majestic long river, which suppressed the starry sky, was about to descend, Qingyu suddenly raised his hand and pointed forward. Break. The silver-white vortex, like a space-time singularity breaking free from its restraints, with an unyielding determination, flowed upstream, precisely striking the most core and most concentrated point of power in the Guardian's long river. Silent destruction unfolded in the starry sky. The Guardian's upstream flow, centered on the point of contact, began to show huge, spiderweb-like cracks, and its light rapidly dimmed. Just as the Guardian's long river was about to completely disintegrate and the vortex had shrunk to its limit. Now, a glint flashed in Qingyu's eyes. His mind was like lightning, controlling the last remaining wisp of pure sword energy at the edge of the vortex, following a space-time ripple in the Guardian's long river of sword energy, caused by an imbalance of power, silently circling to an extremely fragile node on its side. Sever. That faint wisp of sword energy lightly flicked. Crack. It was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Like a chain reaction, the entire long river of sword energy lost its supporting core, collapsing with a roar in the starry sky, turning into countless scattered glowing fragments. Without the obstruction of the long river of sword energy, the Guardian's figure was also twisted and shattered by the swirling sword energy. 8th level, passed. On the Heavenly Bridge Plain Island, Ba Fen looked at a group of geniuses and, with a smile, announced the news of Qingyu passing the 8th level. Ha, passed. August cried out in surprise, his face filled with extreme shock and disbelief. Many geniuses, like August, were extremely shocked. After a brief silence, there were exclamations and discussions like a volcanic eruption. Universe rank, 8th level. My God. As expected of Sky Eclipse Palace Master's disciple. Indeed. Monster. A true monster. As Territory Lord rank geniuses, the shortest cultivation time for them had exceeded 5,000 years, and most of them were still stuck at the 8th level of the Heavenly Bridge, but Qingyu, a universe rank cultivator with less than 100 years of cultivation, had actually caught up to them. Qingyu did not continue to challenge the 9th level. In these 5 years, his comprehension of laws had improved greatly. He had fully understood and mastered all 132 secret techniques of the 3rd level of myriad tribulations. He had also found 810 secret techniques in the 3rd volume of Chaotic True Understanding, which was just enough to pass the 8th level. At this rate of progress, I might soon meet Teacher Sky Eclipse's requirements. Qingyu exited the virtual universe, thinking with a look of contentment. Sitting in the cave he had opened up on the cliff face of the ancient god ruins, Qingyu took out a blood river crystal. Let's see if I can fuse the 5th blood river crystal. Qingyu's eyes lit up. That's right. He was now going to attempt to fuse the 5th one. Qingyu had successfully fused the 4th blood river crystal 4 years ago, and in the 4 years since, Qingyu had attempted to fuse the 5th one multiple times, but all had failed. I hope it succeeds this time. Chapter 64, 50 years. Failed. Qingyu frowned, looking at the blood river crystal in his hand that had returned to its original state. The fusion of the 5th one, after all, still ended in failure. Although his body's strength was constantly improving under the tempering of the baleful aura, it seemed to be just one step away from the 10 times threshold required for fusing the 5th one. The concentration of baleful aura here can no longer satisfy me. Let's continue deeper. In these 5 years, the improvement in his physical strength had become slower and slower. Qingyu walked out of the cave dwelling and began to fly down the pit. The concentration of baleful aura continuously intensified, and the blood-red mist became denser and denser. 2,000 kilometers, 3,000 kilometers. Until he reached the 10,000 kilometer mark, where the concentration of baleful aura was more than 3 times that at the 1,000 kilometer mark. The violent killing intent, like a tangible tide, furiously impacted his sea of consciousness, attempting to drag him into an endless abyss of slaughter. But Qingyu's will also grew with the blessing of his 8-fold talent, and under the impact of the killing intent, his growth speed was astonishing. These impacts, though strong, could not shake him. Qingyu continued to descend, seeking a higher concentration of baleful aura, but found that the concentration of baleful aura decreased instead of increasing. It seems the core of the baleful aura vortex in this pit is at this 10,000 kilometer depth. Qingyu stopped, looking around at the dark red mist, churning like blood plasma. The concentration of baleful aura and the intensity of the will impact here are the limits of this place. I'll cultivate here, it's enough for me to attempt the 5th one and continue to temper my will. He no longer forced himself to descend further and carved a cave dwelling into the rock wall at this 10,000 kilometer depth. 1 year later. Done. Accompanied by a deep declaration, the 5th blood river crystal successfully fused into Qingyu's body. His life gene level leapt again. 5 blood river crystals increased his law comprehension speed by 10 times. Another 18 years passed. The last 66 secret techniques of the 3rd level of the myriad tribulations secret art were finally thoroughly comprehended and mastered under his daily deductions. The 1081 corresponding secret techniques in the 3rd volume of the Chaotic True Understanding were also all found and mastered by him. This meant that he had completely comprehended the profound mysteries of the 3rd, splashing leap diagram, of the Universe Chaos Tablet. Qingyu was now fully confident of passing the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge. But he was not in a hurry to verify it. Instead, he chose to continue to settle down. 5 years later. The 6th blood river crystal, successfully fused. Just the blood river crystal alone has increased my law comprehension speed by 12 times. Qingyu's eyes shone brightly. And there's the star marrow jade. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master had rewarded him with 100,000 kilograms of star marrow jade, and in these past 2 decades, Qingyu had already consumed more than half of it. This star marrow jade could not only slowly increase his affinity with laws, but more importantly, consuming a large amount could also nourish his soul, which was equivalent to improving his comprehension. Moreover, this improvement would also be boosted by his eightfold talent. As a result, Qingyu's law comprehension speed reached an incredibly terrifying level, making it as simple as eating and drinking for him to comprehend laws now. This was also why he was able to reach the level of the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge so quickly. I still want to fuse more blood river crystals. The concentration of baleful aura here is also starting to slow down the improvement of my body. Let's go. See the center of the vortex. Qingyu had tasted the sweetness of the blood river crystal and was no longer satisfied with the concentration of baleful aura along the cliff walls. Qingyu left the rock wall and began to approach the most violently churning and darkest colored area in the center of the pit. The closer he got to the center, the more astonishing the increase in baleful aura concentration. The killing intent rushing into his sea of consciousness underwent a qualitative change. It was no longer a single impact, but instead seemed to transform into countless killing demon gods of various forms, howling and roaring madly. Threads of it seeped into his mind, constantly stirring up his most primitive desires for slaughter, carrying out pervasive temptations and incitements. Qingyu guarded his mind, his will like a rock, enduring immense pressure, and finally stopped at a position where the baleful aura concentration was about 8 times that of the vortex core. The intensity of the killing intent impact here had almost reached the limit of what he could currently bear. He had to mobilize all his willpower at every moment to resist it, to ensure his mind remained intact. If he went any further, he simply couldn't guarantee that he could still divide his attention to comprehend laws while resisting the will impact. Once his mind faltered and was completely eroded by the killing intent, the consequences would be unimaginable. He would become a mad demon who only knew slaughter. Another 30 years passed. In the virtual universe, Thunder Island, Sky Eclipse Palace, the Sky Eclipse Palace Master still sat cross-legged in the center of the void, his silver robe moving without wind, his reddish-brown long hair hanging down, and the vertical lines on his forehead flowing with the luster of universe laws. Another guidance session ended, and the Sky Eclipse Palace Master did not let Qingyu leave immediately. Qingyu. A clear voice, like a celestial melody, echoed in the hall. Teacher. Qingyu bowed respectfully, his expression reverent. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's gaze lingered on Qingyu for a moment, and a hint of complexity and surprise flashed deep within his calm eyes. Your progress speed. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's voice carried a hint of indescribable emotion. It truly surprises even me. With your current depth of law comprehension, you are not far from matching the 10th level of the Heavenly Bridge. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master personally guided him every year and was well aware of Qingyu's level of law comprehension. This understanding only intensified his surprise. Qingyu had left Primordial Chaos City for a grand total of just over 50 years. In these 50-plus years, on the surface, it seemed he had only progressed from the 7th level to the threshold of the 10th level, which might not seem as rapid as his 30 years in Primordial Chaos City, where he went from the 1st to the 7th level. But this was by no means a simple numerical comparison. The difficulty of the Heavenly Bridge increased exponentially. The chasm between just the 9th and 10th levels, in terms of difficulty, far exceeded the sum of the difficulties from the 1st to the 9th levels. Law comprehension, by its nature, should become more difficult the further one progresses, like climbing a steep and dangerous peak. But what about Qingyu? His progress speed, far from slowing down as he approached the undying threshold, actually became faster and faster. This made the Sky Eclipse Palace Master feel incredible. He was an ancient existence who had lived for endless years and witnessed countless exceptionally talented individuals since the birth of the universe. Faced with Qingyu's unbelievable trajectory of progress, he too felt a deep shock. To be honest, when he first accepted Qingyu as a disciple, it was largely because his own realm had been stagnant for a long time, so taking on a potential disciple was a way to adjust his mood, with a touch of spontaneity. But these decades of careful guidance, witnessing Qingyu's progress speed defying common sense, had caused a subtle change in the Sky Eclipse Palace Master's mindset. At this moment, a hint of relief actually arose in his heart. Relief that he had accepted this unpolished gem back then. Although you have not yet passed the 12th level of the Heavenly Bridge and the Universe Rank Primordial Heavenly Mountain. The Sky Eclipse Palace Master's voice carried an unprecedented gentleness and praise. But your current progress speed is even more terrifying than a genius who appears once every 10 million eras. Chapter 65, Secret Method of Possession. Any powerful being in the universe would genuinely feel comforted and overjoyed to take on a disciple with heaven-defying talent. Sky Eclipse Palace Lord was no exception. He looked at Qingyu, and the faint smile deep in his eyes was clearer than ever before. It seems, it's time to set off and prepare a true opportunity for my good disciple. A thought quietly emerged in Sky Eclipse Palace Lord's mind and quickly solidified. Qingyu. Sky Eclipse Palace Lord composed himself, returning to his usual elegant demeanor. I've sent you a secret technique, remember to practice it when you have time. Yes, teacher. Qingyu responded respectfully. Sky Eclipse Palace Lord then ended this guidance, his figure seeming to merge into the void and disappearing. Go. Qingyu's consciousness exited the virtual universe, returning to reality. He curiously opened his inbox immediately and indeed saw an email from Sky Eclipse Palace Lord. Open double angle bracket 9 perches close double angle bracket. Qingyu opened the attachment and saw the name of the secret technique, his heart stirring. This is actually a body-snatching secret technique. He quickly browsed the introduction to the secret technique, his eyes gradually widening in surprise. Body-snatching secret technique. Its purpose was only one, to forcibly occupy and seize the bodies of other life forms. Teacher Sky Eclipse wants me to cultivate this body-snatching secret technique. Could it be, with Sky Eclipse Palace Lord's vision and methods, specially bestowing a body-snatching secret technique and entrusting Qingyu to cultivate it, his intention was self-evident. It was very likely that he was preparing to let him take over a more powerful, more heaven-death-defying life form. According to the talent he was now displaying, which even shocked Sky Eclipse Palace Lord, the level of the life form chosen by his teacher as a vessel would definitely be beyond imagination. At the very least, it should be a powerful life form. With the clone talent. Perhaps even some kind of special life form. Qingyu mused silently. An indescribable sense of excitement and anticipation instantly surged into his heart. After a long while, Qingyu took several deep breaths, suppressing his agitated emotions. Whoosh, Qingyu let out a long, turbid breath, his eyes once again becoming sharp and resolute. No matter what heaven-defying opportunity Teacher Sky Eclipse ultimately prepares for me, he clenched his fists. My most important task right now is still, to improve my comprehension of laws. A powerful physical vessel was the foundation, but what determined his future height would always be the depth of his spatial-temporal laws. Thinking of this, Qingyu's eyes were free of any distractions, and he decisively focused his mind. It's been 30 years since I last fused a blood river crystal, let's try to fuse another one. A dozen minutes later, Qingyu held the blood river crystal that had returned to its original state. It still failed. Qingyu watched as blood-colored threads withdrew from the wound, his brows tightly furrowed. The requirement for body strength to fuse the 7th crystal was 10 times that of the 6th. Even under the extreme tempering of 8 times the malevolent energy concentration, his body's improvement rate still couldn't cross this chasm. 8 times the malevolent energy concentration is still not enough. The speed of body strengthening can't keep up with the demands. A resolute glint flashed in Qingyu's eyes. Fortunately, 20 years of willpower confrontation, with the 8-fold talent bonus, has led to significant progress in my willpower. I can try to get closer to the core. He took a deep breath, enduring the terrifying will impact that sounded like billions of demon gods roaring in unison, and stepped forward again, heading towards the core area that churned like boiling blood. The closer he got to the center, the malevolent energy almost completely solidified, becoming as viscous as real blood. The intensity of the killing will's impact surged again. Kill, destroy, unleash it to your heart's content. Countless seductive and insane thoughts churned in his sea of consciousness. But Qingyu's will also became more resilient and condensed under this extreme pressure. His gaze was like a torch, fixed on the front. Finally, in the thick, unyielding crimson depths, the outline of a massive, glowing red sphere faintly appeared. That's it. Qingyu gritted his teeth, enduring the terrifying will impact that could instantly drive even top world lords insane, and moved step by step with difficulty towards the blood-colored orb. 10 meters. 9 meters. 8 meters, the distance was shortening, each step as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Qingyu's spirit was highly concentrated, not daring to relax in the slightest. In this situation, a slight carelessness, a lapse in mental guard, would result in being crushed by the killing will, turning into a blood demon, never to recover from myriad tribulations. The last meter. Qingyu's eyes burst with resolute light as he stepped into the outer layer of the blood-colored orb. Buzz. The moment he stepped into the outer layer of the orb, the terrifying, extreme killing will impact weakened a bit. Qingyu's heart eased, but he didn't dare to be negligent, quickly traversing dozens of meters within the inner wall of the orb's shell. Puff. As if passing through a layer of viscous water film, Qingyu finally completely penetrated the outer shell of the red orb, truly entering its core interior. Qingyu was already prepared for the scene inside the blood-colored orb. It was completely different from the violent killing will impact outside. Inside the orb was a strange and sacred space. All malevolent energy and killing will disappeared without a trace, replaced by an indescribable vastness and majesty originating from the essence of life. 12 massive secret patterns, as thick as arms, and made entirely of pure gold, like divine pillars supporting heaven and earth, coiled and intertwined at the center of this space. Their structure was extremely complex and profound, containing the ultimate truths of the law of gold and the law of space. At the same time, these 12 golden secret patterns continuously emitted soft and sacred golden light, like sunlight, filling the entire inner space. Within the light, some blurry but powerful images constantly emerged, scenes of a giant lizard-like creature fighting. Golden Beast God. Qingyu understood. The battle roars and growls of the beast god were precisely what emanated from the images. These images were priceless treasures for cultivators following the path of the golden and space-integrated beast god. But for Qingyu, who focused on the orthodox spatial temporal laws, their value was greatly diminished. Only some of the space law secret patterns on those giant secret pattern pillars held some reference value for him, but even that was quite limited, as he could now rely on the heart of space to enter the cosmic origin land for comprehension. Qingyu's gaze lingered on those shocking images for only a moment before quickly moving away. Then he unhesitatingly walked towards the innermost area of the space, where the 12 golden secret patterns intertwined and the golden light was most concentrated. He sat down cross-legged, allowing the golden light, imbued with miraculous power, to shine on him without reservation. It's wonderful. Qingyu couldn't help but let out a satisfied sigh. An indescribable sense of comfort instantly spread throughout his body. It was a kind of nourishment and evolution, originating from the essence of life. He clearly felt that every cell in his body was greedily absorbing this sacred golden light. Every moment, earth-shattering changes were occurring. Chapter 66, Breakthrough of Will. Qingyu's body strength increased at an incredible speed. This rate of increase, in one day, far exceeded the effect of several years of arduous training in the outside world's baleful aura. With the blessing of 8 times his talent, the effect reached an unimaginable height. A month later, Qingyu successfully fused the 7th Blood River Crystal. 10 months later, Qingyu fused another Blood River Crystal. After a few more months, Qingyu began to feel that the golden light ray's modification speed on his body was gradually slowing down. I've only fused the 8th Blood River Crystal, am I already reaching my limit? Qingyu frowned. This limit was not the limit of the golden light rays or the bloody baleful aura, but the limit of Qingyu's own body. Once this limit was reached, staying in the ancient god ruins for any longer would be useless. A month later, the golden light rays modification of his body completely stopped. In fact, if it were anyone else, they would probably reach their limit in 1 or 2 months. Qingyu persisted for over a year to reach his limit, and this was also because his body had the bonus of 8 times his talent. Qingyu took out another Blood River Crystal. Although he knew he was still far from fusing the 9th Blood River Crystal, he was still a bit unwilling and wanted to try it anyway. Come on. Qingyu's eyes narrowed. He once again cut his palm and pressed the blood river crystal onto it without hesitation. The will impact posed no threat. The killing will contained within the blood river crystal was easily shattered by Qingyu. But then, the moment the bloody threads entered his body, in less than 5 minutes, dozens of places on Qingyu's body simultaneously burst open with blood flowers. Fusion failed. It failed. Qingyu sighed softly, looking at the blood river crystal in his hand that had returned to its original state. The wounds on his body quickly healed under his powerful vitality. What a pity, only the 8th blood river crystal. He understood that once the body reached its limit in the current realm, apart from breaking through to the territory lord rank to raise the body's upper limit, or using some extremely rare, heaven-defying treasures in the universe specifically for body strengthening, there was almost no other way to continue fusing. 8 was his current limit. Qingyu quickly adjusted his mindset. 8 blood river crystals increase my law comprehension speed by 16 times. Even fusing 10 would only increase it by 20 times. Although a 4-fold difference is not small, there's no need for me to stubbornly insist. Moreover, that 9 perches soul-seizing secret art made Qingyu already guess the arrangement of his teacher, Sky Eclipse Palace Lord. He should be made to seize a powerful life later. At that time, this body would be discarded, so fusing more blood river crystals now would not be of much significance. The path of blood river crystal fusion could temporarily come to an end here. Qingyu turned his gaze to another aspect, will. He could vaguely feel that his willpower, after decades of baleful aura grinding and scouring, had already reached a critical point, just one step away from a breakthrough. And the pervasive bloody killing will in the ancient god ruins was one of the few precious places that could efficiently temper one's will. There was no will impact within this light sphere, so Qingyu directly got up and flew out of the bloody light sphere. Right here, Qingyu passed through the outer shell of the light sphere, and the dense, blood-like baleful aura rushed towards him. Boom! A terrifying will impact, like the roar of billions of killing demon gods, instantly engulfed him like a destructive tsunami. Kill, kill, kill. Qingyu immediately sat down cross-legged, guarding his mind. He not only had to resist this pervasive killing will that confused the mind but also had to allocate a portion of his consciousness to continue comprehending the chaotic true understanding. He wanted to achieve both the transformation of his will and the comprehension of laws simultaneously under this extreme pressure. Time flowed by in the bloody roars and silent comprehension. Qingyu's mind was like a reef in a storm, enduring wave after wave of even more violent impacts. Those killing wills sometimes transformed into hideous giant demons tearing at his soul, sometimes into an endless sea of blood trying to assimilate him, and sometimes into various tempting whispers, attempting to shake his true self. 3 years later, Qingyu's tightly closed eyes suddenly opened. His gaze was deep and calm, like 2 ancient wells, no longer reflecting the slightest ripple. The world-destroying killing will impact outside, in his perception, now seemed to have become a distant wind, still as fierce as ever, but no longer able to shake his mind in the slightest. An indescribable sense of composure naturally arose from him. This was something he hadn't possessed before. It was as if even if the universe collapsed and doomsday arrived before his eyes, his inner self could maintain absolute calm and rationality, dealing with it gracefully. My will before was comparable to a world lord's peak. Now, it's at least equivalent to an ordinary undying spiritual god, right? Qingyu felt the fierce killing will impact pass by like a gentle breeze. In the original work, Hong proposed 3 realms of heart cultivation. But after awakening my memories, my focus of cultivation has always been on law comprehension and strength improvement. I've never deliberately cultivated my heart, Qingyu mused. But now, after my will broke through, I actually have a sense of clarity, of holding on to my true self, discerning my original heart, unswayed and unconfused by external illusions. I wonder if this counts as inadvertently stepping into the first realm of heart cultivation. Qingyu silently speculated in his mind. He didn't dwell on it too much. The realm of heart cultivation was profound and hard to articulate. In any case, his will had achieved a breakthrough, and that was the greatest gain. This blood Luo world is no longer of much help to me. Qingyu stood up, surveying this world of surging blood. The fusion of blood river crystals had reached its limit, and his will had successfully broken through. It was time to leave. Next, I'll go get the Blood Luo badge, and then it will be over. He hadn't forgotten the second cultivation mission, to obtain the Blood Warrior title, get the Blood Luo badge, and receive a reward of 100,000 points. The Blood Luo badge is issued by the World City to blood warriors who have fused 3 blood river crystals. Qingyu did not intend to disguise himself as a native, prove that he had fused 3 blood river crystals to become a blood warrior, and then go to the World City to properly apply for the badge. Because he had fused 8 blood river crystals. And he did it at the Cloudsoar Realm universe rank. Once he activated his Blood Luo power, the secret patterns appearing on his body simply couldn't be disguised. If the natives of the Blood Luo world saw him, they might even treat him as a genius and send him to the Eternal Temple for cultivation, which would be even more troublesome. Qingyu wouldn't dare to bet whether an undying spiritual god could recognize him as an outer realm demon. Anyway, the mission only requires the result, not the method. A cold glint flashed in Qingyu's eyes. Then, the simplest and most direct method is to go to World City and snatch a Blood Luo badge. Qingyu's figure shot into the sky, flying into the clouds, and his spaceship quickly locked onto a direction, the nearest World City to him. Chapter 67 The Last Battle. Please read. As Qingyu took action, far away on the fringes of the Qinglin Universe Kingdom, a single star rotated solitarily in the darkness. This was a wandering dead star that had broken free from its sun's gravity, with no signs of life on its surface. Deep within its core, in a cave forcibly excavated and cleverly concealed, several faint lights flickered, illuminating various figures. Team Leader, a shadowy figure with a hoarse voice, presented an extremely encrypted piece of intelligence to the figure seated at the head of the table. That Team Leader had gill-like folds on both sides of his face and webbed membranes between his fingers. The figure referred to as the Team Leader took the intelligence, his cold, pupil-less, silver-white eyes fluctuating slightly. Universe Tongtian Bridge 8th level, Qingyu, he repeated the name in a low voice, his tone betraying no emotion. 50 years ago, the Virtual Universe Corporation really kept it under wraps. He stood up and coldly flew out of the cave, accompanied by another figure. Initiate God Kingdom teleportation. Ellipsis. When the black-robed team leader reappeared, he was already in an incredibly distant place, a starfield of absolute dead silence with no stellar light or heat. He immediately tore through space and entered the spatial interlayer. His objective was clear. He flew rapidly in one direction for a long time until, in a relatively calm area, he saw his target. This was a vast god kingdom, with a majestic yet strangely styled temple standing in its center. The temple's material was neither metal nor stone, shimmering with an amber luster. Around the temple, countless insect race warriors, dense as a tide, were prostrate and standing. Tiger-armored insect race, sharp shadow insect race, laser insect race, they were silent, like the most loyal statues, guarding the central temple, a chilling aura permeating the entire god kingdom. This team leader was also an undying spiritual god, but even he felt his soul tremble amidst so many insect race warriors. He cautiously moved through the sea of insect race warriors, not daring to overstep in the slightest, finally arriving before the tightly closed temple gates and respectfully kneeling. Master. His voice carried a reverence that came from his soul. There is news concerning the human genius Qingyu. Silence fell in the temple for a moment, then a soft, infinitely alluring female voice, gentle enough to seep into one's bones, lazily emerged from within. Oh, just a single word, yet it seemed to carry a strange magic, making one irresistibly want to seek out the owner of the voice, but the team leader buried his head even lower. Human Qingyu, 5 years after leaving the primal universe, which is 50 years ago, passed the 8th level of the universe Tongtian Bridge. As soon as his voice fell, the gentle, alluring aura within the temple abruptly vanished, replaced by an icy, bone-chilling coldness. Though formless, it made the team leader outside the temple feel as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, his body trembling uncontrollably. 50 years, the Mother Queen's voice was still soft, but each word was as sharp and piercing as an icicle. My loyal servant, tell me, why was this surprise delayed for so long before reaching my ears? Is it that my ears are deaf, or is your efficiency so low that I need to personally whip you into shape? The team leader was drenched in cold sweat and hastily explained. Great master, please calm your anger. It is not due to the servant's negligence. Rather, after Qingyu was accepted as a disciple by Sky Eclipse Palace Lord, the Virtual Universe Corporation's protection of his information was elevated to an extremely high level. Detailed records of his Heavenly Bridge challenge were strictly sealed. We were able to confirm this news only after paying a huge price and finally verifying it through extremely secret channels. This damned Virtual Universe Corporation, their information blockade is becoming increasingly impenetrable. He couldn't help but curse in a low voice at the end, both out of genuine emotion and to show his master that this was by no means their fault. The icy aura within the temple slightly receded, replaced once again by that elusive, lazy allure, as if the earlier rage had been an illusion. Universe Tongtian Bridge 8th level, the Mother Queen's voice slowly repeated, as if savoring something. A little fellow not yet 100 years old, tisk tisk, it seems another extraordinary, little treasure, has secretly appeared among the human race. Although early progress speed doesn't tell the whole story, the darlings of the space-time path are always particularly concerning, the Mother Queen chuckled softly. Allowing such a sapling to grow will cause us great headaches in the future. Keep an eye on him. I'm very familiar with the Virtual Universe Corporation's procedures. Once he breaks through to Territory Lord rank, he will be sent out. At that time, the voice paused, seemingly weighing options and making a decision. Mobilize 3 undying spiritual gods to carry out the elimination mission, and among them, there must be one Marquis Undying. The team leader felt a jolt in his heart. Marquis Undying. To use this level of power for a genius who hasn't even fully grown yet. One must know that regardless of whether the mission succeeded or not, those who took action would certainly be suppressed and killed by the human race's powerful beings. Even a Marquis Undying would be considered a one-time consumable. The Mother Queen's voice remained gentle, yet carried an undeniable authority. The dark pieces lurking within the human race are precious, but for a genius of the space-time lineage, it's worth it. Go, convey my will. Yes, great master. The team leader bowed deeply, respectfully stood up, and slowly departed. Deep within the temple, that gentle, almost eerie voice softly sounded again. Qingyu, what a beautiful name. Blood Luo World, a majestic world city, like a crouching beast, was shrouded beneath perpetual clouds. Above the extremely high clouds, a spaceship disguised as an ordinary meteorite hung silently. Inside the cabin, Qingyu, clad in his silver stream battle suit and bearing a tribulation divine weapon, had calm, unruffled eyes. 60 years of tempering by killing intent, fusion with blood river crystal, and comprehension of laws had long since refined his sharp edge to be both restrained and ultimate. Today, on this final day, he would, in the most direct manner, put an end to his cultivation in the Blood Luo world, and at the same time, test his decades of training. Release signal jamming waves. Released. Qingyu nodded slightly, stepped out of the spaceship hatch, and his body immediately plummeted rapidly under the strong gravitational pull. The clouds were suddenly torn apart, and a silver light, with terrifying speed, pierced through 18 cloud layers, plummeting towards the City Lord's mansion in the very center of Juyin City. The shriek caused by the speed followed, like a declaration before the arrival of the god of death. What is that? An extraterrestrial meteorite. Residents in the city looked up one after another, gazing at the rapidly approaching streak of light. Just as the silver light was about to strike the City Lord's mansion, countless sharp, unparalleled silver-white sword lights erupted from behind the figure, like the Milky Way pouring down from the 9 heavens, transforming into a destructive waterfall of sword energy, surging towards a certain part of the magnificent mansion below. Chapter 68. Calm and unhurried. Please read. Impudent. A roar filled with shock and fury exploded from the deepest secret chamber of the Lord's mansion, like a sleeping behemoth thoroughly enraged. Vast and majestic world power instantly permeated the area, like an invisible giant hand, forcibly enveloping and suppressing the cascading sword-light waterfall, producing a teeth-grinding sound of energy annihilation. The world power advanced further, attempting to confine the silver figure in the air as well. However, just an instant before the world power closed in, the figure in the air transformed into countless phantoms, easily escaping the world power's restraint. Appearing nimbly thousands of kilometers away in midair, the silver stream battle armor shimmered with cold light, and the tribulation divine weapon on his back emitted a low hum. Boom! A burly figure smashed through the dome of the Lord's mansion, soaring into the sky, hovering in midair to confront the newcomer. He was clad in dark profound heavy armor, with a rugged face, hair standing on end in fury, and an earthy yellow world power swirling around him. He was precisely the Lord of Juyin City. Who are you? How dare you trespass into my Juyin City? The Lord of Juyin City's voice boomed like rolling thunder. The silver stream battle armor rippled slightly, revealing a pair of calm, unruffled eyes behind it. Qingyu looked at this world lord rank lord, and spoke faintly, his voice clearly echoing across half of Juyin City. The one who challenges you. The Lord of Juyin City was stunned, because Qingyu was not concealing his aura now, and he immediately recognized Qingyu's realm. The Lord of Juyin City, who was laughing in extreme anger, surged with powerful world power, dyeing the sky an earthy yellow. Good, good, good. A mere cloud-soar realm dares to challenge a world lord rank expert. I shall let you know what price arrogance demands. Qingyu faced a world lord, not only without any tension, but instead felt his blood burning. Based on his aura, this Lord of Juyin City was roughly at the 4th to 5th stage. He was perfectly suited to test his strength. I've been eager to see it. Qingyu's eyes blazed with boundless fighting spirit. Seeking death. The Lord of Juyin City sneered, and the thick, door panel-like broadsword in his hand suddenly slashed out. There were no fancy techniques, only pure strength and the condensation of the law of earth. A densely condensed, earthy yellow blade light tore through the sky. Wherever it passed, space trembled slightly, and the buildings of the city below were silently cut with huge ravines by the escaping sharp edge. This single strike was enough to easily kill a domain level 9th stage. A cloud-soar realm would surely not survive. He seemed to have already seen the scene of that secretive silver figure being cut in two by a single blade. Ant, who gave you the courage to challenge me? The Lord of Juyin City snorted coldly, his psychic energy sweeping across the area ravaged by the blade light. However, the expected blood and gore did not appear. A calm voice sounded from behind him. Your blade is too slow. If this is all you have, you will die without value. The Lord of Juyin City suddenly turned his head, his pupils contracting sharply. Qingyu had appeared there at some unknown point, the flowing light disk under his feet shimmering with the faint light of spatial laws, completely unharmed. How is this possible? A cloud-soar realm, how could his speed be so fast? A stormy wave surged in the Lord of Juyin City's heart. For fairness, Silver Stream, activate one-fold World Lord power. Qingyu said calmly. Instantly, a vast and majestic power surged from the Silver Stream battle armor into Qingyu's limbs and bones. Both his original power and psychic energy reached the World Lord rank level. This was not something he had cultivated himself, yet he controlled it as if it were his own arm. Qingyu then gently waved his hand. Immediately, the tribulation divine weapon on his back emitted a joyful hum, and countless silver streams of light shot out like living, swimming fish. Seeing Qingyu's uniquely shaped weapon, which emanated spatial temporal fluctuations, the Lord of Juyin City first froze, then, as if realizing something, his face suddenly changed drastically, and he exclaimed in horror. You were an outsider. His reply was Qingyu's indifferent raised hand. Go, buzz. A brilliant torrent, composed of countless tiny silver sword lights, like the nine heavens star river bursting its banks, charged towards the Lord of Juyin City with an aura of sharpness that tore through space and time. The same move, when executed with universe-rank psychic energy and World Lord-rank psychic energy, differed vastly in power. The Lord of Juyin City was greatly astonished. This was simply not an attack that a cloud-soar realm should be able to unleash. World projection, suppress. He dared not hold back in the slightest, roaring, and the phantom of his inner world descended with a crash. In an instant, centered on the Lord's mansion, the scenery within a radius of several thousand kilometers drastically changed. Juyin City vanished, replaced by a vast, barren, earthy yellow mountain range phantom emanating immense pressure. The majestic world power frantically pressed down on the river of sword chi. The surging torrent of sword chi noticeably slowed, and its light dimmed somewhat. Break for me. The Lord of Juyin City grasped his blade with both hands, condensing the law of earth, and fiercely slashed at the tip of the river of sword chi. The blade light shattered, and the river of sword chi was also cut and dispersed by nearly half by this strike. The remaining impact force made the Lord of Juyin City's blood and chi churn, forcing him back several steps before he stabilized himself. What a terrifying attack. It still possesses such power even under the pressure of my world. He was horrified in his heart. But Qingyu's attack was not over. He lightly tapped his finger, and the dispersed sword chi did not vanish. Instead, as if drawn by an invisible force, it instantly recondensed, forming a rapidly spinning, all-cutting giant sword chi vortex, enveloping the Lord of Juyin City. Countless minute spatial cracks appeared and vanished at the edge of the vortex. Damn it, he's just a cloudsoar realm relying on external objects, how can he be so strong? The Lord of Juyin City felt immense pressure, the cutting force from the vortex made his skin ache. He dared not delay, his entire body's power boiled, and the battle blade glowed with dazzling light. Secret art, Mountain Sever. He poured all his strength, man and blade becoming one, transforming into a brilliant stream of light that tore through the earth. He narrowly and forcibly cleaved through the confinement of the sword chi vortex and rushed out, his face flushed when he landed, and his aura somewhat chaotic. I must get close. He is a psyker master, getting close is certain death. The Lord of Juyin City, rich in combat experience, instantly assessed the situation. He stomped his foot, his figure shooting like a cannonball towards Qingyu in midair, while simultaneously brandishing his battle blade wildly. Suppressing peak. The blade light slashed out, condensing the heavy law of earth, as if an invisible giant mountain truly appeared out of thin air, pressing down on Qingyu's head. However, Qingyu, stepping on the flowing light disk, had already entered the myriad thread stream movement technique, making his movements as elusive as a ghost. The Lord of Juyin City's attacks always fell just short. The Lord of Juyin City attacked frantically, unleashing secret blade techniques one after another. Earth split. 1,000 peaks. Heavy yuan slash. Streams of blade light, some majestic, some heavy, some sharp, filled the heavens and earth. Each strike contained the terrifying power of a World Lord rank. Qingyu remained calm and composed, as if dancing on the edge of a blade. The flowing light disk under his feet traced elegant trajectories, maneuvering through the dense blade net, leaving behind countless dazzling afterimages. Chapter 69, Star Prison Demon Lord. He merely flicked his fingers occasionally, sending out sharp sword chi that precisely struck the weakest points of the Lord of Juyin City's blade techniques, easily deflecting his attacks. This was less a life and death struggle and more an elegant game. Ah, die. The Lord of Juyin City was utterly enraged. How could he not see the opponent's almost humiliatingly relaxed demeanor? This indifference infuriated him more than any mockery. Secret art, falling star crushing land. He squeezed every last bit of strength from his body, unleashing his strongest attack. His entire being merged with his battle blade, transforming into a giant meteor burning with earthy yellow flames, carrying a terrifying will that seemed capable of sinking continents and destroying stars. It locked onto Qingyu and crashed towards him. This was a self-sacrificing strike, made at any cost. Facing this furious attack, Qingyu's eyes remained calm. He stopped his evasive movements, hovering in the air, his hands raised in front of him. I've played long enough. It's time to end this. You're too weak, but you are the first world lord I've fought, so I will finish you with my strongest move. Tribulation Divine Weapon 7th Stage, Myriad Tribulations Tied. Buzz. Countless small circular blades arranged themselves according to Qingyu's will. Mysterious silver secret patterns lit up on them, triggering a deeper level of spatial and temporal laws. No longer just a single sword chi, but a vast, silver tide composed of countless spatial folds and temporal turbulences, emerged out of thin air. Where this tide passed, the Lord of Juyin City's massive world projection, like an oil painting soaked in water, began to violently twist and blur, then let out a wail of unbearable strain and shattered with a crash. And that burning meteor, crashing into this silver tide was like a real pebble thrown into a raging sea. It merely stirred up a slightly larger splash, instantly losing all its speed and power. The lord of Juyin City felt as if he had fallen into a temporal quagmire, or was being sliced by billions of invisible blades of time. He struggled desperately, but couldn't even steady his body, only able to helplessly bob up and down in the tide like duckweed. Crack! His battle armor was the first to crumble, followed by his flesh, and finally his bones and internal organs. No! A scream filled with unwillingness and terror came to an abrupt halt. When the silver spatial temporal tide subsided and dissipated, all that remained where the lord of Juyin City had once been were some fine dust and a lone storage ring floating in the air. Qingyu waved his hand, and the storage ring flew into his grasp. His mental power easily broke through the original owner's imprint. After a brief scan, he found the Blood Luo badge representing the mission objective. The Blood Luo world mission is complete, Qingyu nodded with satisfaction. Without another glance at the silent and terrified Juyin City below, he shot into the sky, transforming into a silver streak, quickly disappearing into the clouds and returning to his spaceship, which was disguised as a meteorite. The spaceship started silently, accelerated instantly, and vanished into the Blood Luo world's sky, leaving behind only the devastation throughout the city and a terrifying legend of the arrival of a silver Grim Reaper. As the spaceship left the Blood Luo world's atmosphere, Qingyu immediately adjusted its direction, heading towards the colossal palace suspended in the void. The monitoring stations on the outskirts of Sky Eclipse Palace immediately detected the familiar spaceship. Look, it's His Highness Qingyu's spaceship. He's come out of the Blood Luo world and is flying towards us. Looks like he completed the mission. His Highness Qingyu stayed in the Blood Luo world for 60 years. For a universe-rank mission, that patience and focus. I bet His Highness's gains this time are absolutely astonishing. The garrison world lords discussed, their gazes following the spaceship with curiosity and respect. The spaceship docked smoothly, its hatch opened, and Qingyu, clad in silver stream battle armor, stepped out. The undying spiritual god Arno, who had been waiting there, immediately came forward, his smile even more respectful than last time. Your Highness Qingyu, congratulations on completing your mission. Please follow me. Thank you, Mr. Arno. Qingyu nodded slightly. On the 9th floor of Sky Eclipse Palace, it was still that vast starry sky backdrop. Sky Eclipse Palace Master, dressed in a silver robe, with long reddish-brown hair casually draped, stood with his hands behind his back, as if he had been waiting all along. Teacher, Qingyu stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Sky Eclipse Palace Master turned around, his gaze like lightning, sweeping over Qingyu. He seemed to instantly see through his 60 years of progress, and a rare, extremely faint hint of satisfaction appeared on his usually cold face. He briefly encouraged him, affirming Qingyu's cultivation achievements in the Blood Luo world and his wisdom in choosing to temper himself. Finally, he changed the subject, looking at Qingyu and asking directly, Qingyu, do you have the confidence to pass the 12th level of the Heavenly Bridge within 100 years? Qingyu looked up, his eyes clear and confident, without the slightest hesitation. Replying to teacher, this disciple is confident. Perhaps, it won't even take 100 years. He now had full confidence in passing the 10th level, and at this rate of progress, it truly wouldn't take 100 years to pass the 12th level. Upon hearing this, Sky Eclipse Palace Master's eyes flashed with an imperceptible trace of satisfaction, then he slowly nodded. Very good. Go back, and don't slack off. Yes, this disciple takes his leave. Qingyu bowed again, respectfully exiting the 9th floor. Watching his disciples disappearing back, the faint satisfaction on Sky Eclipse Palace Master's face turned into a somewhat helpless, wry smile. This kid, this rate of progress, truly, he muttered under his breath, his tone filled with amazement and a hint of trouble. I originally thought that if I set a 3,000-year goal, I'd be satisfied if he completed it within 1,000 years. I didn't expect, at this rate, 200 years might even be too much. It makes me, as his teacher, seem a bit unprepared. Since he had promised an opportunity, and his disciple was so outstanding, he, the dignified top universe overlord, naturally could not go back on his word. Fortunately, my clone set off 4 years ago. Sky Eclipse Palace Master's gaze seemed to pierce through endless time and space, seeing the scene in a distant cosmic secret realm. Ellipsis. In a desolate, strange deep space filled with destructive energy, space suddenly rippled, and a figure wearing a similarly styled silver robe stepped out. It was one of Sky Eclipse Palace Master's clones. His powerful divine sense quickly locked onto another undisguised, overbearing aura. The next moment, his figure blurred, and when he reappeared, he was on the shattered remains of a star. Ahead, a burly, bald giant in dark red, hideous battle armor, surrounded by a terrifyingly violent aura. It was the Star Prison Demon Lord, another of the human race's only 3 top universe overlords. Sky Eclipse, you actually came in person. It seems you're not just ordinarily concerned about that young disciple. Star Prison Demon Lord turned around, looking at Sky Eclipse Palace Master. His voice boomed, sounding somewhat surprised. Sky Eclipse Palace Master's clone's expression was calm. When a disciple is too outstanding, a teacher naturally must do his utmost. Chapter 70 Inches Blue Sky Shock, please read. Star Prison Demon Lord was startled at first, then as if he thought of something, he shook his head, a knowing and slightly amused expression on his face. Among the entire human race's high-ranking officials, who didn't know that Sky Eclipse Palace Master was famously protective of his disciples? For the sake of his disciples, this decisive overlord would do anything. Star Prison Demon Lord laughed heartily and said no more. With a flip of his hand, an ancient world ring appeared in his palm, which he tossed over casually. Take it. It's a universe rank, Azure Sky Tremor, its bloodline purity is acceptable. I originally planned to keep it and award it to some promising junior in the future, but since Sky Eclipse, you want it, it's yours. Sky Eclipse Palace Master took the ring, and with a quick scan of his divine power, confirmed that the unique, glass-like transparent life form in the internal space was in good condition. He nodded and put it into his sleeve. Thanks, he said, his tone still flat. I might not need it, but I'll keep it for now. Star Prison Demon Lord's playful smile deepened upon hearing this, and he shook his head with a touch of helpless emotion. I say, Sky Eclipse, you're being a bit too devoted as a teacher. Even an Azure Sky Tremor, a rare life form capable of nurturing a clone, is just a backup option for you. He naturally understood Sky Eclipse Palace Master's unspoken meaning. Even after getting the Azure Sky Tremor from him, he was still not satisfied and planned to continue searching for an even more heaven-defying target for that young disciple to possess. Tisk tisk, it seems you truly intend to plan a heaven-defying foundation for your disciple, Qingyu. He's worth it, Sky Eclipse Palace Master said, his tone flat but containing an unquestionable firmness. All right, I know you, Sky Eclipse, are generous and willing to invest in your disciples, Star Prison Demon Lord waved his hand. I've given you the item, if you don't use it, give it back to me. I still have an area in the depths of this shattered star sea that I haven't explored yet. If there's nothing else, I'll continue. Farewell. Sky Eclipse Palace Master's clone nodded, said no more, and his figure slowly dissipated, having already left. Star Prison Demon Lord watched the spot where he disappeared, shook his head and chuckled for a moment, then muttered to himself. To make Sky Eclipse go to such lengths with his clone, and even disdain the Azure Sky Tremor, that little fellow named Qingyu, I hope he truly lives up to this expectation. After his contemplation, his gaze once again turned to the dangerous and alluring area deep within the shattered star sea, mystical region. The Azure Sky Tremor was precisely what he had captured in this mystical region earlier. It also happened that Sky Eclipse Palace Master was searching everywhere for powerful life forms suitable for possession, which led to the scene just now. Star Prison Demon Lord's figure transformed into a crimson streak of light, continuing his mystical region exploration journey. Although he had obtained the Azure Sky Tremor, Sky Eclipse Palace Master's clone did not immediately return. Though the Azure Sky Tremor is good, capable of nurturing a clone, it's already a heaven-defying opportunity for most geniuses, he muttered to himself, a hint of dissatisfaction in his eyes. But that kid Qingyu's progress speed is beyond imagination, his temperament and will are both top-notch, and even more rarely, his compatibility with the laws of space-time is so high. Just one Azure Sky Tremor isn't good enough. His initial promise was that the faster his disciple completed the goal, the better the opportunity he would prepare. Now, Qingyu's performance far exceeded expectations. As his teacher, he naturally had to do his utmost to plan a truly perfect foundation for him, one that would be sufficient to support him on his path to the peak of the universe. Next target, in the abyssal mystical region, and the next, in the ancient skeleton ancestral land. Coordinates of several mystical regions and cosmic danger zones flashed rapidly through Sky Eclipse Palace Master's mind. These were all pieces of information he had gathered through favors, pointing to several places highly likely to contain powerful life forms below Undying. Many of these places were not even within the human race's territory, and some regions, even ordinary universe exalts, dared not easily set foot in. I hoped to gain something. It wasn't that the human race's treasury didn't have life forms available for geniuses to possess, but truly top-tier ones, suitable for possession and not yet used, were almost non-existent. The highest rank of life forms that could be possessed was World Lord rank, with limited lifespans. Therefore, once a special life form with immense potential was discovered, it would almost immediately be assigned to a certain genius for possession, and would never be kept in stock. Moreover, most people who captured these life forms had already broken through to Undying themselves and no longer needed possession. After capturing them, they would usually, like Star Prison Demon Lord, directly bestow them upon favored juniors, rather than trading them or storing them in the human race's treasury. Therefore, to seek the best, one could only personally delve into these cosmic danger zones and ancient mystical regions, and search for them on the spot. This was also why Sky Eclipse Palace Master spared no effort in having his clone personally travel around. On the other side, Qingyu traveled through space in his spaceship, quickly returning to the primitive mystical region, Wuchen Continent, Estate No. 114. He did not immediately take on the next training mission but instead returned to his own training ground first. On the vast training field, Qingyu's figure flickered. Countless secret techniques were constantly unleashed in his hands, and the laws of space-time fluctuated intensely. Marquis Tianyi appeared at the edge of the training field at some point, watching silently. His face initially held his usual gentle smile, but as Qingyu's practice deepened, the surprise and joy in his eyes grew stronger. As a Marquis Undying, his discernment was incredibly sharp. He could clearly perceive Qingyu's level of law comprehension from the effortless execution of his secret techniques. "Teacher," Qingyu said after finishing his practice, only then noticing that Marquis Tianyi had already arrived. Marquis Tianyi's smile could no longer be restrained, finally turning into a hearty, unbridled laugh. "Ha ha 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 ha, good, good, good," he said, "good," 3 times in a row, his excitement evident. Qingyu's progress was so rapid, far exceeding his most optimistic expectations, how could he not be ecstatic? This thoroughly proved that his judgment was correct, and the returns from this early investment would be immeasurable in the future. This even pleased him more than his own cultivation progressing. "Qingyu." Marquis Tianyi flew forward, his face full of relief and excitement. "It seems that my recommendation for you to go to the Blood Luo world was truly the right choice. Your progress speed is simply astounding. I'm afraid it won't be long before your law comprehension catches up to mine." Qingyu put away his weapon and respectfully said, "Thank you for your guidance, teacher. The Blood Luo world indeed benefited this disciple greatly. It's your own effort." Marquis Tianyi grew more and more satisfied the more he looked. Qingyu did not rush to start his next training mission but instead settled down in the primitive mystical region, continuing to digest the gains from the Blood Luo world. This period of settling down lasted for a year. A year later, Qingyu found Marquis Tianyi again. Having tasted the sweetness of Blood River crystals in the Blood Luo world, a 16-fold increase in law comprehension efficiency. He naturally yearned to obtain similar astonishing opportunities in other training worlds. Chapter 71 Red Lotus Star. "Teacher, I'm ready to accept the next cultivation mission," Qingyu asked. "Do you have any suggestions for the mission world?" Marquis Tianyi pondered for a moment upon hearing this. He first thought that Qingyu had just returned from the Blood Luo world and must have gained many Blood River crystals. He knew that fusing Blood River crystals placed an immense burden on the body, and to fuse more, further enhance gene levels, and improve the clarity of law perception, a strong physical body was fundamental. You've just experienced the Blood Luo world, so your physical body likely needs further tempering to adapt to the power of more Blood River crystals, Marquis Tianyi said. I know several dangerous level mission worlds. Dragon Tower Star, Heaven Pillar Mountain, 10,000 Apertures World. Although the environments of these mission worlds vary, they all contain miraculous opportunities that can strengthen the physical body. However, after hearing this, a hint of hesitation flashed in Qingyu's eyes, and he then gently shook his head. Thank you for the recommendation, teacher, but I temporarily don't want to focus on physical body enhancement. Marquis Tianyi was slightly stunned but didn't ask further. His disciple was very opinionated and not a reckless hothead. I hope there are opportunities to enhance the essence of the soul and the comprehension of laws, Qingyu expressed his thoughts. Seeing Qingyu interested in enhancing the soul, Marquis Tianyi quickly changed his ideas. He did indeed know of such mission worlds. Of course, there was a reason why he knew so much about these mission worlds. Marquis Tianyi also came from the core of the Virtual Universe Corporation and had taken many missions back then. Of course, he couldn't have done every single mission, because the company limits the total number of missions each person can accept. For example, primitive mystical region members can only accept a maximum of 15 dangerous level missions, and a maximum of 3 desperate level missions. After formally recognizing Qingyu as his disciple, Marquis Tianyi had been making long-term plans for Qingyu's cultivation. He knew that he could not provide too much direct help to this monstrous disciple in terms of resources. Therefore, he took a different approach, relying on the connections and favors accumulated over countless years. He frequently inquired about various information from his old friends and acquaintances, including intelligence on these cultivation mission worlds. He hoped to provide some valuable references when Qingyu needed them. After a brief thought, Marquis Tianyi said, "Since your intention is opportunities to strengthen the soul and aid law comprehension, these opportunities themselves are relatively rare. The dangerous level mission worlds I know of are 2, Red Lotus Star and Purple Heart River. If it's a desperate level mission, there's also the Lost Star system, which is quite compatible with your path of space-time laws." As he spoke, Qingyu opened the mission list on the Virtual Universe Network. Qingyu's consciousness immersed itself in the virtual universe, quickly finding the worlds Marquis Tianyi had mentioned. His gaze first fell upon open black lens bracket Red Lotus Star close black lens bracket. Red Lotus Star is a special planet in the primitive mystical region of the Virtual Universe Corporation, suspended in void. Red Lotus Star has no star, it is a geothermal planet. It is inhabited by countless natives and a unique type of lava monster, with the strongest reaching the World Lord peak level, making it extremely dangerous. Killing these lava monsters can yield a special ore. The mission objective on Red Lotus Star is these ores, but the natives living there also collect this ore, so geniuses who choose this mission will also have to compete with the natives. Unlike the Blood Luo world, Red Lotus Star is completely controlled by the Virtual Universe Corporation. These natives can exchange collected ore for resources, treasures, and even join the Virtual Universe Corporation. Red Lotus Star mission. Collecting blue yan ore rewards 10,000 points, purple yan ore rewards 30,000 points, and red yan ore rewards 100,000 points. Note: collecting 1 unit 10,000 kilograms of ore is considered completing the mission. The mission was simple, and the reward was slightly higher than that of the Blood Luo world. Qingyu then looked at the Purple Heart River and Lost Star system mission worlds, each with its own characteristics. Qingyu ultimately chose Red Lotus Star because Purple Heart River was a mission within the Great Axe Battlegrounds Purple Heart Secret Realm, and a lot of travel time would be spent on that mission. And while the Lost Star system was within the primitive mystical region, it was a desperate level mission, and Qingyu planned to do the first 2 missions before considering it. "Teacher, I'll go to Red Lotus Star first," Qingyu made his decision. "Red Lotus Star, huh? That's fine too," Marquis Tianyi nodded, his expression slightly solemn. "Soul tempering is extremely dangerous. You must not be careless for the sake of improving your strength." Always proceed with caution. I understand, disciple, Qingyu nodded solemnly. Having made his choice, Qingyu no longer delayed. Soon after, a spaceship ascended from Manor 114 on Wuchen continent, carrying Qingyu towards Red Lotus Star. Since it was within the primitive mystical region, they arrived the same day. Qingyu stood in the spaceship's control room, 100% external virtual view allowing him to clearly see an enormous planet suspended in void nearby, slowly rotating. The entire planet presented a suppressive dark red hue, as if a colossal charcoal had been silently burning in the universe for billions of years. Moreover, it continuously spewed thin but vast blood-red mist into the surrounding cosmic space. These red mists, like the ethereal exhalations of the planet, enveloped it in an eerie and hazy red glow, making the entire planet look like a giant pulsating heart. Your Highness Qingyu, that is Red Lotus Star ahead, the black-robed envoy responsible for escorting him said respectfully. Its diameter is approximately 0.9 light-years, a superstar. Its gravity far exceeds that of the primitive mystical region, so please be extremely careful. According to the rules, I can only take you this far. I understand, thank you for the escort, Qingyu nodded, his gaze still fixed on the enormous red planet. It would be impossible for such a massive celestial body to form in normal cosmic space, such a marvel could only be seen within a cosmic mystical region. With a thought, an dark silver shuttle-shaped spaceship appeared out of thin air. Qingyu's figure flashed, entering the spaceship. The silver spaceship transformed into a streamlined silver light, flying towards the Red Lotus Star, which seemed capable of devouring everything. As it drew closer, the spaceship gradually entered the range of the blood-red mist enveloping the planet's outer reaches. Buzz. As soon as it entered the red mist, an anime character projection appeared. Master, the detection system is gradually failing. This was the intelligent life Qingyu had purchased after his last mission. Qingyu named him, Rem, from an anime he had watched in his previous life. Never mind, keep going. A faint sensation of heat, not from the skin's surface, but as if it originated from deep within the body, causing the blood flow to subtly accelerate. At the same time, an inexplicable sense of irritability, like a tiny venomous snake, quietly slithered into his mind, attempting to stir his emotions. Is this the peculiarity of Red Lotus Star? Chapter 72, Yanquang. The closer he got to the ground, the more red dust permeated the air. A scorching heat baked his body, constantly trying to ignite his inner irritability. Qingyu didn't pay any mind to this influence, and he speculated in his heart. Could this inexplicable sense of irritability be the key to refining the soul? Qingyu landed on the dark red, hard ground of Red Lotus Star. The powerful gravity instantly acted on his entire body. A rough estimate put it at least 10 times that of Blood Luo world. First, familiarize myself with the environment and gather intelligence. Qingyu made up his mind. The mission brief provided by Virtual Universe Corporation was too concise. Whether he wanted to acquire the mission target Yan or find the opportunity to refine his soul, he needed to understand more information about Red Lotus Star. He reined in his aura and chose to advance in a direction with higher terrain. The dark red rocks beneath his feet were exceptionally hard, far exceeding those of ordinary planets. As far as the eye could see, the land was barren, filled with jagged strange rocks and bottomless fissures. In the distance, huge volcanoes stood silently, spewing dense smoke and red light. The sky was forever shrouded in a suppressive dark red hue. After about half an hour of travel, intense energy fluctuations and frantic roars came from ahead. Qingyu's figure flickered, silently sweeping onto a several 100-meter-high stone mountain and looking down. Below, in a relatively open valley, dozens of colossal monstrous beasts were furiously attacking the entrance of an inconspicuous cliff cave. These monstrous beasts varied in form, some resembled gigantic lava lizards, others multi-legged beetles. However, they shared a common characteristic: the stronger they were, the darker their body color. The most numerous were universe-rank monstrous beasts, with deep blue bodies and heights of 1 to 200 meters. The two leading ones were noticeably larger, close to 800 meters, covered in dazzling purple carapaces or flowing with purple lava patterns, clearly territory lord rank. Are these lava monstrous beasts? Qingyu observed silently from the side. These monstrous beasts continuously bombarded the cliff cave entrance. A faint energy glow seemed to flicker at the entrance, struggling to resist the attacks. Clearly, something inside was sustaining it, but it looked like it wouldn't last much longer. Qingyu's mental power was also blocked when he swept it over, so he didn't know the situation inside. However, observing the large number of native corpses on site, he could roughly guess that some natives were probably trapped in the cliff cave. Qingyu had no interest in saving people, but he was interested in intelligence. These natives clearly understood the situation better than he would by aimlessly searching. Moreover, killing these monstrous beasts directly yielded the yan ore required for the mission. With his mind made up, Qingyu no longer hid. The tribulation divine weapon on his back let out a soft hum, instantly disintegrating into countless streaks of light. Ellipsis ellipsis. Inside the cliff cave, the universe-rank native youth named Sui Shi felt the pressure from outside growing stronger and stronger, and the protective shield he had set up was about to give way. He glanced at his severely wounded and unconscious captain, Yan Li, his heart chilling. Am I really going to die here today? He thought in despair. Just then, the attack from outside seemed to suddenly weaken for an instant, followed by several roars and screams from monstrous beasts. Sui Shi was startled, and then a surge of ecstasy rose in his heart. Has the tribe's rescue team arrived? He quickly and cautiously extended his mental power, but was slightly stunned by the scene he saw outside. Outside, there was no sign of the large tribal force he had imagined. There was only a silver-haired youth wearing strange silver battle armor, carrying peculiar weapon components on his back, and stepping on a metal disc. One person. Sui Shi's heart tightened again, even a little anxious. Is he crazy? How dare he provoke so many lava giant beasts by himself? Hurry and come in to hide. He subconsciously wanted to shout, urging that ignorant fellow outside to quickly enter the cave to take shelter. Although the protective shield at the entrance wouldn't last much longer, it was still better than being instantly overwhelmed by the beast horde outside. However, before he could even speak, the scene he witnessed next completely robbed him of his ability to speak, his pupils contracting violently in extreme shock. He saw the black-haired youth suspended in midair, facing the frantically pouncing horde of lava beasts with an eerily calm expression. Countless incomparably strange thin blades revolved around him. Those thin blades seemed to possess a life of their own, flying in a mysterious trajectory that he simply could not comprehend. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Silver light flashed, faster than thought. Those powerful lava beasts that had driven him and his captain to despair were as fragile as paper before that eerie silver light. Qingyu was completely engaged in a one-sided slaughter. Wherever the silver light passed, colossal blue monstrous beasts crashed to the ground. However, strangely, after these monstrous beasts died, their bodies quickly lost vitality and turned grayish, seemingly transforming into actual rocks. Then, these grayish rocks peeled off layer by layer. There was no blood inside, and finally, a fist-sized ore, shimmering with a blue halo and emitting pure energy, was left on the ground, blue yan ore. It seems these monstrous beasts are a type of rock-based life form. Qingyu glanced at it, a hint of curiosity flashing in his eyes, then continued to slaughter the lava giant beasts. The two territory lord rank lava beasts only managed to hold on for a moment longer than the universe rank ones. A more condensed silver blade, carrying faint ripples of space-time, flashed, and the head of a purple giant beast was sent flying. Its body likewise continuously collapsed into a slightly larger purple yan ore. The other one, seeing the unfavorable situation, spewed out towering purple flames to try and block him. Qingyu merely pointed a finger, and a blade of distorted space-time arrived first, ignoring the obstruction of the purple flames and directly piercing its core. This was a one-sided slaughter, without any suspense. The native youth Sui Shi's mouth hung open. He stared blankly at the figure like a god or demon outside, his mind a blank. He had never imagined that battle could be so elegant and efficient. The other party clearly only had a universe-rank aura, but his strength was terrifying enough to instantly kill a territory lord. Perhaps only in those legendary, super-large tribes that rule vast city-states could such a genius be born. Sui Shi thought to himself. Despair turned into shock, and shock then transformed into immense hope of surviving a catastrophe. No matter who the newcomer was, they were saved. In less than a minute, all the lava giant beasts in the valley were completely cleared out, leaving only dozens of heavy ores emitting blue and purple halos. Qingyu waved his hand, and his mental power swept out, gathering all the blue yan ore and purple yan ore. These fist-sized ores, unexpectedly, were very heavy. A single blue yan ore weighed over 100 kilograms, and a purple yan ore was close to 1,000 kilograms. Chapter 73 Molten Tribe. It seems this mission is indeed simple. I don't know how heavy one piece of yan ore is, but killing a few more World Lord rank lava beasts will definitely complete it. Qingyu weighed the yan ore in his hand. He had just killed over 30 lava beasts in one go, including 2 territory lord rank ones. Based on the weight of this yan ore, Qingyu could probably complete the mission in just a few days if he put in some effort. Just as I wished. The main goal this time is the opportunity to temper my soul. Qingyu smiled slightly. Hello, thank you for saving us. Just then, a voice filled with excitement and a hint of timidity came from the direction of the cliff cave. Qingyu turned his head to look, only to see the universe-rank native youth supporting a heavily injured middle-aged native, stumbling out of the cliff cave. The youth looked at the battle marks all over the ground and the vanished beast horde. When he looked at Qingyu again, his eyes were filled with immense gratitude and awe. But as his gaze carefully swept over the silver stream battle suit on Qingyu, the flowing light disk beneath his feet, and the tribulation divine weapon that had reassembled into its strange form, he seemed to suddenly remember something. His expression drastically changed, becoming even more respectful, even with a hint of panic. He quickly put down his companion, placed his right hand on his chest, and bowed deeply. Thank you, Your Highness, for saving our lives. Your Highness. Qingyu raised an eyebrow slightly. The native youth, Sui Shi, quickly nodded and said respectfully, Yes, the elders in the tribe have said that if we see a powerful individual with peculiar clothing, incredible power, and a non-native appearance, we must respectfully address them as, Your Highness. You must be a highness from beyond the heavens, right? Qingyu neither confirmed nor denied, and directly asked, Are you natives from this area? How much do you know about it? Seeing that Qingyu did not deny it, Sui Shi became even more certain of his judgment, and his attitude grew increasingly submissive. Replying to Your Highness, we are warriors of the Rongha tribe. Our tribe is located in the Red Rock Mountain Range, about 3,000 kilometers from here. He pointed to his heavily injured companion, a sorrowful expression on his face. My name is Sui Shi, and this is my captain, Yan Li. We came out this time to hunt lava beasts, but we unexpectedly strayed into this area and were ambushed by 2 purple-patterned lava beasts. The captain was severely injured while covering me. He paused, then eagerly added, Your Highness, if you wish to know more about Red Lotus Star, the elders of our tribe know far more than we do. My father is the tribal chief, and we have always held the greatest respect for the highnesses from beyond the heavens. He knew that the information he possessed was very limited and would probably not meet the needs of this, Your Highness. Qingyu glanced at him, then at the heavily injured territory lord rank native, and pondered for a moment. Going to a local tribe to gather intelligence was indeed the most efficient method. Lead the way, Qingyu said concisely. Sui Shi's face immediately showed surprise and joy, and he quickly bowed again. Yes, Your Highness. Thank you for your trust. Please follow me. He carefully carried the heavily injured and unconscious Captain Yan Li on his back, identified the direction, and then flew towards the Red Rock Mountain Range. Qingyu followed him unhurriedly, while also dedicating a sliver of his mind to remain vigilant of the surrounding environment. Under Sui Shi's guidance, Qingyu arrived at the so-called Red Rock Mountain Range. This was a vast stone forest composed of countless huge, dark red rocks, interspersed with many natural caves and crevices. The Rongha tribe lived in these caves and stone houses carved into the mountainside. The tribe's scale was not large. Upon sensing, there were fewer than 1 million people in total, and the strongest were only a few territory lord rank individuals. When Sui Shi appeared at the tribe's entrance, carrying the heavily injured Yan Li and accompanied by a strangely dressed, unfamiliar-looking black-haired youth, it immediately drew the attention of all the native residents. Many Rongha clansmen stopped what they were doing, their gazes uniformly cast over, filled with curiosity, vigilance, and even a subtle hostility. It's Sui Shi. He's back. What happened to Captain Yan Li? He's so badly hurt. Who is that person? His battle suit, his weapon, so strange. Sui Shi led Qingyu to the largest stone forest, which was also the largest cave in the entire tribe. After Qingyu entered, he discovered that the cave was very technologically advanced. Although the Rongha tribe appeared primitive on the outside, it actually had developed technology, and its technological level was even higher than that of Blood Luo world. Soon, several tribal elders and a robust middle-aged man, who bore some resemblance to Sui Shi and was at the peak of the territory lord rank, arrived upon hearing the news. He first nervously checked Yan Li's injuries, ordered people to immediately carry him away for treatment, and then turned his gaze to Qingyu. "Father." Sui Shi quickly stepped forward, bowed respectfully, and then eagerly explained. "This is His Highness Qingyu. A highness from beyond the heavens. We were ambushed by a horde of purple-patterned beasts while hunting, and it was His Highness who saved us and killed all the lava beasts." Someone from beyond the heavens. Sui Shi's words were like cold water dropped into hot oil, instantly causing a commotion among the surrounding crowd. The expressions of several elders immediately turned somewhat grim, but they quickly and respectfully invited Qingyu to another cave for good hospitality. Afterward, several elders ceaselessly chastised Sui Shi. "People from beyond the heavens, HMPH, it's them again. Sui Shi, how could you bring someone from beyond the heavens back here? Sui Shi, you are too reckless. Your Highness, is powerful and unpredictable. Have you forgotten how miserable the Red Fang tribe became?" Qingyu naturally noticed this. The first time those elders saw him, they clearly did not welcome him, but they dared not show it. "Rem, can you hack into this tribe's system and let me see what they are doing?" Qingyu asked. If this tribe was discussing how to deal with him, he would not be lenient. "Yes, Master." After more than 10 seconds. "This tribe's technology is too backward, Rem has already successfully hacked in. They don't seem to welcome Master." Rem directly projected the scene of those elders chastising Sui Shi. Watching the reactions of these natives, Qingyu thought for a moment and could probably guess why. Some past geniuses had probably not left entirely friendly impressions here, perhaps even engaging in bloody plunder, and the Virtual Universe Corporation would not uphold justice for these native tribes. Sui Shi's face flushed red upon hearing the elders' reprimands, and he was still eagerly trying to explain. "No, His Highness Qingyu is different. He truly saved us. Enough." At this moment, the territory lord rank peak middle-aged man, who was the leader of the Rongha tribe and Sui Shi's father, Rong Kui, sternly halted all arguments. Chapter 74, Heart Fire. His sharp gaze, hot as molten lava, fell upon the bickering individuals, and the chief's authority silenced everyone. Rong Kui weighed his options rapidly. He had heard of the terrifying and ruthless nature of outsiders, and refusing or even offending Your Highness, carried immense risk, especially since the person had just saved his son and capable subordinate. However, he also knew how wealthy these Your Highnesses were. If he could befriend one, he might gain some benefits. He looked at his anxious son and thought, since this Your Highness is willing to save people, he's at least not a bloodthirsty person. I can try. He overruled all objections and directly expressed the entire tribe's goodwill and acceptance towards Qingyu. Several elders who had voiced opposition opened their mouths, but ultimately, under Rong Kui's authoritative gaze, they remained silent. Qingyu smiled slightly as he watched the scene through the light screen. It wasn't long before Rong Kui arrived with his people. He stepped forward, placed his right hand on his chest, and performed a solemn tribal salute to Qingyu, saying in a steady voice, "Respected Your Highness Qingyu, thank you for saving my son and my warriors. The Rongha tribe will remember your kindness. Whatever you need, as long as we can do it, we will do our best." Qingyu nodded slightly. "I need to understand Red Lotus Star, especially detailed information about lava beasts and any strange places or phenomena." "No problem." Rong Kui turned sideways, making an inviting gesture. Some information accumulated by the tribe over generations might be helpful to you. Please follow me. Under Rong Kui's personal guidance, Qingyu was led to a heavily guarded large cave deep within the tribe, filled with various ancient texts. Additionally, Rong Kui gave Qingyu a data recorder, opening all the tribe's information to him. Retrieve any information that might be related to soul opportunities, then summarize it for me. Qingyu himself began to examine the ancient texts. Over the next few days, Qingyu immersed himself in these ancient texts. Most of the records were about the habits and distribution of lava beasts, the history of the tribe, and some superficial secret techniques. Master, all information has been retrieved. There isn't much content regarding soul opportunities. After a second screening, only the description of a heartfire tribulation flame seems most probable, Rem reported to Qingyu. Heartfire tribulation flame. It seems to be mentioned in the ancient texts too. Qingyu thought for a moment, then pulled out a few books from all the ancient texts. They described a terrifying flame called the Heartfire Tribulation Flame. This flame did not originate from volcanoes or fissures but appeared without warning in certain areas of Red Lotus Star. Once a living being was tainted by this flame, it would not immediately be burned to ashes. Instead, it would fall into extreme pain and madness, its consciousness extinguished, and its body would gradually wither as if dehydrated, eventually leading to death. Among the beings that died from this flame, a very small number would form a crystal inside their bodies, very similar to yan ore, called soul flame crystal. Even if they miraculously survived, they would lose most of their sanity, either falling into a coma or becoming mentally deficient. Qingyu immediately realized that this flame, which could directly affect the soul, was very likely the soul-tempering opportunity Marquis Tianyi had spoken of. Its danger level also far exceeded the ordinary. Qingyu found Chief Rong Kui and directly inquired about the Heartfire Tribulation Flame. He was silent for a moment before taking a deep breath and saying gravely, "Your Highness actually discovered records about the Heartfire Tribulation Flame. That is one of the most terrifying dangerous places on Red Lotus Star." He began to provide Qingyu with more crucial details. Those who are tainted have a 9 out of 10 chance of dying, turning into withered bones in madness and pain. Only World Lord rank powerhouses who are burned to death might leave behind a soul flame crystal. As for the purpose of this soul flame crystal, I don't know. But, Rong Kui's tone became exceptionally solemn. Actually, not everyone who is burned by the Heartfire Tribulation Flame will die or lose their sanity. There are a very few lucky ones, if they can maintain a sliver of their true spirit intact through that soul-burning pain, and endure it, survive. What happens to them? Qingyu pressed. Those who endure will be like someone whose mind has been opened, becoming incredibly intelligent. Their ability to comprehend laws will rise to an astonishing level, and their cultivation speed will skyrocket. It is said that our Rongha tribe's ancestors once encountered the Heartfire Tribulation Flame, and survived. But that is too slim a chance. Rong Kui shook his head, his tone bitter. Over countless years, I have only heard legends of success, but I have never witnessed it firsthand. Your Highness, although you are powerful, please do not easily try to find that flame. It is too dangerous. After listening, a faint, almost imperceptible light flashed in Qingyu's eyes. Hearing Rong Kui's description of how surviving the Heartfire Tribulation Flame could greatly enhance the speed of law comprehension, he immediately understood. It can directly affect the soul, and after enduring it, one's mind becomes clear, and the speed of comprehending laws skyrockets, Qingyu mused. This should be the sole opportunity that teacher Marquis Tianyi spoke of. He immediately pressed, where do these Heartfire Tribulation Flames usually appear? Seeing Qingyu's persistence, Rong Kui sighed inwardly, knowing that this Your Highness had likely set his mind on it. He dared not conceal anything and answered truthfully. These tribulation flames have different levels. Our tribe has encountered and recorded 3 types. The most common type is light blue. Although dangerous, its power is relatively the weakest, and it appears slightly more frequently, lasting from a few years to several decades. A stronger type is the deep purple tribulation flame, which is extremely rare and incredibly powerful. Once it appears, it often lasts for over 100 years. As for the strongest, it is called the Scarlet Heart Tribulation Flame. Its color is like blood, and it is said that once it appears, that area will become a true dead land, persisting for 1,000 years, and no one has ever been heard to survive from such a flame. He paused, then shook his head helplessly. But Your Highness, the appearance of these tribulation flames is completely unpredictable. They can suddenly appear anywhere and just as suddenly extinguish. Our Rongha tribe is weak, and our activity range is limited, so we are unable to map the entire Red Lotus Star's tribulation flame distribution. We can only rely on generations of accumulated experience to record some dangerous areas where tribulation flames have appeared or are suspected to appear, and try to avoid them. Saying this, he directly sent a map to Qingyu via the tribal network. The map's scope was very small, covering an area of about 10,000 kilometers centered around the Red Rock mountain range. In addition to marking some known lava beast lairs and safe routes, 5 places were marked with special strokes. 4 of these marks were light blue flame symbols, and 1 was an even more conspicuous deep purple flame symbol. Chapter 75 Found. Your Highness, this is all our tribe knows, Rong Kui said, pointing to the 5 markers. These 4 blue flame markers are areas where the pale blue, Heartfire Tribulation Flame, has appeared or is suspected to have been active within the last 100 years. They are extremely dangerous, and our warriors avoid them from afar. As for this purple flame marker, his finger pressed heavily on the deep purple symbol, his expression incredibly solemn. This is Howling Wind Canyon. About 100 years ago, someone saw a flash of deep purple flame within it from a distance. That canyon has become a forbidden zone among forbidden zones ever since. Occasionally, daring tribesmen who approach its edge can feel a shiver at the soul level. This map, and the information you provided, are very useful. Qingyu put away the map and looked at Rong Kui. He was not one to bully the weak. Since the other party had provided valuable information, he naturally wouldn't take it for nothing. With a thought, he took out a storage ring containing a small pile of standard units of cosmic crystals, as well as cultivation resources up to the World Lord rank. These were worth only a few points to Qingyu. What was truly valuable in the universe were various secret techniques and treasures. These are in exchange for the map and information. Qingyu handed over the storage ring. Rong Kui took the storage ring and glanced at its contents, his breathing instantly quickening. This amount of resources was a veritable fortune for the small Rongha tribe, far exceeding the value of that crude map. This, Your Highness, this is too precious. Rong Kui's voice trembled slightly, wanting to decline but truly reluctant to part with it. The tribe's survival was difficult, and these resources were too important. Take it, Qingyu said calmly, leaving no room for refusal. After speaking, without waiting for Rong Kui to say anything more, he flickered out of the cave, transforming into a silver stream of light, and sped off in the direction of the nearest pale blue tribulation flame point marked on the map. Rong Kui held the pile of precious resources, looking in the direction where Qingyu had disappeared, his heart filled with complex emotions. Sui Shi, he turned to his son, who had been guarding by his side, and instructed solemnly. Pass down the order. Today's events, especially regarding the resources bestowed by His Highness, are strictly forbidden to be spread. All tribesmen must remember His Highness's kindness. Yes, Father. Sui Shi nodded excitedly. Qingyu's speed was very fast, however, his luck did not seem to be very good. The first marked point was at the bottom of a dried-up, giant riverbed, with only some residual burn marks that were different from ordinary magma. It proved that there had indeed been an extraordinary flame here, but that blue heartfire tribulation flame had long since extinguished without a trace. The second marked point was deep inside a subterranean grotto, where the situation was slightly better. Qingyu could clearly feel the residual, soul-stirring unique energy there. An invisible burning sensation and irritability, several times stronger than outside, permeated the area, indicating that it hadn't been extinguished for too long. But ultimately, it was also empty. It seems that the birth and extinction of this tribulation flame are indeed irregular, and its duration varies. Qingyu was not discouraged and immediately turned to the third marked point, a dangerous area known as Cracked Claw Abyss. Before he had even fully approached, Qingyu felt a difference. The burning sensation in the air became more sharp, no longer a pervasive baking, but like countless tiny, invisible needles, continuously pricking at his soul sea of consciousness. The strange power that incited irritable emotions also suddenly intensified, and various negative illusions began to try to breed in his heart. He collected himself, and his powerful will froze and repelled all external interference. He cautiously approached the edge of the abyss and looked down. The bottom of the abyss was not a churning sea of magma as imagined, but rather an eerie silence. In the center of a pitch-black cave, a cluster of faintly pale blue flames, about a person's height, burned silently. This was the blue heartfire tribulation flame. The closer he got, the stronger and clearer the prickling sensation, emanating from the depths of his soul became. Qingyu could feel that his soul was slowly undergoing some kind of change under this invisible burning. He tried to separate a wisp of extremely subtle mental energy, like a tendril, slowly probing towards the cluster of blue flames. Just as that wisp of mental energy was about to touch the flame, hiss! A sharp pain, directly affecting the soul's origin, suddenly feedbacked along that wisp of mental energy. Qingyu frowned slightly and instantly severed the connection of that wisp of mental energy. What a terrifying flame! Qingyu's eyes were filled with solemnity. Directly burning the soul, inducing inner demons. This is far more dangerous and insidious than the pure will impact and physical transformation during the fusion of blood river crystals. If the blood river crystal fusion failed, at most there would be no success, but no life-threatening danger. This heartfire tribulation flame, however, silently eroded your soul, amplified all your negative emotions from within, and disintegrated you from the inside. Once the soul could not bear it and the mind collapsed, the consequences would be unimaginable. For a moment, Qingyu was indecisive. Should he risk it? If successful, his soul would be tempered, and his comprehension of laws would accelerate, offering immense benefits. But if he failed, at best, his soul would be severely damaged, at worst, he would directly fall into madness, or even have his soul incinerated. This is the trouble of not having a clone. For the first time, Qingyu so clearly realized the importance of having a clone. If I had a clone, I could send one to try. Even if this tribulation flame is bizarre, at most I'd lose a clone. Qingyu hovered at the edge of the cracked claw abyss, gazing at the cluster of pale blue flames, lost in thought. After a long while, Qingyu still decided not to take the risk. There was no need to rush. Now that it was confirmed that this heartfire tribulation flame could indeed temper the soul, it wouldn't be too late to try again after finding a more secure method. Moreover, Qingyu was certain that there must be a way on Red Lotus Star to avoid the soul being directly burned, otherwise Marquis Tianyi would not have said this was an opportunity. Qingyu then went to look at the remaining two markers on the map. The fourth blue flame marker also had this pale blue flame, which Qingyu recorded. Qingyu dared not approach the last purple marker, the Howling Wind Canyon. Just looking at that purple area from afar, his soul felt a shiver. The power of this purple heartfire tribulation flame was much stronger than the blue heartfire tribulation flame. Qingyu recorded this location from a distance, then flew away to larger tribes to find a way to resist this flame. This time, with a direct goal, Qingyu no longer took winding paths like when he went to the Rongha tribe. He directly used Silver Stream to conceal his aura and infiltrated the core area. He had Rem directly and crudely crack the large tribe's database, while he himself searched for relevant information in physical ancient books. It must be said that these large tribes indeed kept more detailed records. Qingyu visited over a dozen large tribes in total and actually found a way to resist the heartfire tribulation flame.